forever. Let's continue with our headlines, guys. There was a shooting late last night on Moreland Avenue in Atlanta in that gas station. Police are investigating this deadly shooting, again, happening late last night. Officers were called to Moreland Avenue southeast for reports of a person shot. And when they got to the scene, police say they found an adult man suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. He was later pronounced dead on the scene by medical personnel. Police took questions from reporters following this incident. Let's take a listen to what they asked.
So this evening at approximately 8 p.m., officers were dispatched to a person shot at this location, 1401 Moreland Avenue. Upon arrival, they located a black male inside the business, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Despite life-saving efforts, he was pronounced deceased on scene. It was a 37-year-old black male. So right now we've got homicide detectives on scene, trying to gather any kind of evidence we can and speak to any witnesses that might have been here during the incident.
Did you all think he was shot inside or came here? Or?
It appears that he was already here inside the business, and he was shot inside, yes.
Any word on a suspect or description?
Still preliminary. We've got some information that we're working with, and we're working with our internal partners to disseminate that and trying to get some more details on what we're looking for.
Should people who live around here, walk around here, be worried, or is this an isolated thing?
So far, from what we've been able to tell, it appears it's an isolated incident. So no threat to the community that we believe. It looks like it was an isolated incident.
So I spoke to a lady earlier who she says she was the one who called 911 and had found the gentleman back there. She was saying if he'd been found sooner, there was a chance that he might have made it. Can you speak to that at all?
I'm not a medical professional, but I don't think anybody can really say that. He does have multiple gunshot wounds to his torso, so we'd have to go back and run when the 911 call was, but there's no way to know that for 100%.
But if he was potentially shot in the premises, was there an employee that was working who may have heard the shots fired inside the building?
We're still trying to review video camera footage, so we'll tie that all together and see who was there, the circumstances of that. But as for us to say if he could have been saved if somebody had made a 911 call earlier, I mean that we're not able to comment on that and say that for sure.
Anything else you think people should know?
No, if anybody has tips, feel free to give Crime Stoppers a call, of course. They're very valuable to us, and if anybody has any information, just make sure to call Homicide.
Again, like Lieutenant Butler said here, so far, no suspects have been named. He believes this is an isolated incident and this person does not pose a threat to the public. But again, we don't have the person's name at this time, and police are asking for any information on the shooting if you have one. So just a recap really quickly on this incident. This happened yesterday around 8:04 p.m. So last night, they responded to a report of a person shot here on Moreland Avenue Southeast. And when they got to the scene, officers found that 37-year-old male victim who had sustained an apparent gunshot wound. He was later pronounced dead on scene, so he died there on the scene. Investigators again say they're working to determine the circumstances surrounding this incident, and this investigation is active and ongoing. So when we have more information on the suspect involved in the shooting, we'll provide that information for you. Again, this happening at that gas station on Moreland Avenue in Atlanta. Moving forward, No Kings protests taking place across the U.S. and right here in the city of Atlanta. I'm going to throw up a banner for you so you can see they swept across Georgia. We know that the protesters were protesting Trump's policies and the Iran war and several other issues here in America. So again, thousands of demonstrators gathered across the metro Atlanta area yesterday as part of the nationwide No Kings protests, with large crowds reported in Tucker and downtown Atlanta and Sandy Springs. In Tucker, protesters filled a busy stretch near La Vista Road and Henderson Mill Road, with crowds estimated in the thousands earlier in the day, and you're looking at the scene there out in Tucker. Participants say they were motivated by concerns about federal leadership and policies, with one protester saying, quote, "I just wanted to be here and show solidarity with other people who are very concerned about what's going on with this administration." In downtown Atlanta, thousands gathered as well near the Georgia State Capitol earlier in the day before dispersing, while a separate protest in Sandy Springs drew roughly 500 people. So organizers say the demonstrations are part of this broader national movement, again aimed at amplifying concerns and encouraging civic engagement. One protester emphasized the broader significance of these demonstrations, saying, quote, "We're just doing what Atlanta has always done, and I'm very proud to be a part of it." Law enforcement maintained a presence along the protest routes, but no major incidents were reported. And I do want to reiterate, it was reported that these protests were peaceful. As you can see on your screen, these are peaceful protests. So let's go ahead and listen to what some of the protesters said yesterday.
I am supporting the folks against what we have right now in Washington. Our leader is just incompetent, and I've had enough.
The biggest crowd we had to this point was 15,000. We definitely broke that record. Today we doubled the length of the route, and we had people on every inch of sidewalk on 2.1 miles. So we're guessing we're probably north of 20,000 people, which was a big surprise.
I believe there's a lot of reasons that people need to speak out and make their voice be heard and let this current administration know that we do not go along with what they're doing.
We don't want any kings in our country. We just need a president that listens to the people, for the people, by the people.
At our age, we were doing this in the 60s. So just to continue, it just seems like ridiculous that we're still having to protest.
And again, you just listened to protesters at the rally in Tucker and downtown Atlanta at the state capitol. Let's talk about the other side here, because we like to be fair and share both sides of a story. So the Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon pushed back on the demonstration, saying in part, quote, "President Trump was elected by the American people to serve as our leader under the Constitution," and argued that the real threat to our republic comes from the unelected officials influencing policy. So I'm going to read a little bit of the full statement here. The so-called, quote, "No Kings" protests against President Donald Trump are in an outrageous display of hypocrisy and political theater. President Trump was elected by American people not once but twice to serve as our leader under the Constitution. These demonstrations rail against an imaginary monarch, while the voters' clear mandate is carried out by the very man they elected. It is absurd to treat a twice-elected president as some sort of king when he must face the American people at the ballot box every 4 years. Again, if you're just joining in, I'm reading a quote here from Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon, who is against these No Kings protests, giving you the other side of the equation here. He says Georgia Republicans reject this judicial tyranny. We stand for a constitutional republic where power flows from the people to their elected officials, not from unaccountable judges who act as kings. It is long past time to restore the proper balance of power and ensure that the will of the voters, not the whims of the robe-wearing elite, determines the direction of our nation. The American people have spoken, and we will not be lectured by those who fear democracy when it delivers results they dislike. Again, statement there from Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon, and just wanted to give you the other side of the No Kings protest, pretty much people against it. We also know yesterday, ahead of the protests in downtown Atlanta, two groups, leaders with the Indivisible Georgia Coalition and the ACLU of Georgia, spoke during a press conference announcing their plans ahead of these protests and their demands. Let's take a listen back to that.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is Laura Judge, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, a statewide network of grassroots indivisible organizations and community leaders working to defend democracy, protect civil liberties, and build people power across Georgia. Today, people across our state will join communities in all 50 states for a nationwide day of action with one clear message. We don't do kings in this country. Power belongs to the people. Indivisible groups across Georgia have been organizing for years to make sure our communities are informed, engaged, and ready to take action. And through Indivisible National, we are part of a broader movement that connects local organizing to coordinated nationwide action. The No Kings mobilization is one of those moments. It brings together people across the country who are standing up for the same basic idea, that in a democracy, no one is above the law. What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions, and people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments. Today's protest in Atlanta will be a peaceful, community-led action that includes a march and a rally. It is designed to be like our past events, accessible, organized, and rooted in nonviolence. People can expect a strong, visible show of our community, with folks from across the state coming together and share values of freedom, fairness, and accountability. This is not about any one person, it's about a bigger people. We believe in a country where leaders are held accountable, where our rights are protected, and where power stays where it belongs, with the people. And that's why we're showing up today. We invite everyone who believes in those values to join us. Show up, bring your community, be part of something bigger, because this is how we protect our democracy. No kings, not here, not now, not ever. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the ACLU of Georgia, an organization wholeheartedly devoted to protecting your civil rights and civil liberties. Let me be clear from the offset. We do not have kings in this country. We have a Constitution. And today, we are here because the Constitution and all of the rights that's guaranteed under it are under threat. An abuse of power, an erosion of our democratic norms, and direct attacks on the rights of everyday people. That include attacks on the right to vote, efforts to rewrite the truth of the 2020 election, and the policies that undermine the very foundation of our democracy. That should be a concern to every American, regardless of political party. Because this is not about partisanship. This is about power. This is about accountability. We are also seeing the human cost of this administration. Families separated, communities living in fear, journalists being detained, and immigration enforcement that mirrors abuses of people across this country, and that's why we're out here today protesting. Let me say this plainly. We marched to stop the brutalization of communities by police, and we will not accept the same brutality under a different name. From Social Circle to Hall County to seeing detention centers and practices popping up over Georgia that are not wanted or needed. People are not packages, and this country is not a kingdom. At the very same time, we are calling on leaders at every level of government, local, state, and federal, to do your job. Members of Congress must exercise your constitutional authority on other branches. They must protect programs like Medicaid that millions rely on, and they must defend the constitutional balance of power, including their own authority. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. And let me be equally clear about why we are here today. People across the country have a fundamental First Amendment right to petition their government. That right is not optional. It is not conditional. It is fundamental. The No Kings movement is about reminding this nation that power belongs to the people, not only the office holders. And in moments like this, when our democracy is not self-executing, we need people to stand up. It requires participation. So we are calling on people to stay engaged, show up, speak out, make sure you vote in every election, and support organizations that are doing the work every single day to protect your civil rights and civil liberties. Because this movement is not theoretical. It's urgent. It's needed. So I will close where I began. We do not have kings in this country. We have laws, we have rights, and we have a constitution. Let's uphold it. Thank you.
Again, you guys were just listening to Laura Judge with Indivisible Georgia Coalition and Chris Bruce with ACLU of Georgia speaking yesterday ahead of the protests that took place across Georgia and across Atlanta, the metro Atlanta area. Some of you in the chat are asking about funding and how the No Kings protests were funded. After doing some research, reportedly funding comes from a mix of progressive foundations, unions, and grassroots donations. And according to Fox News, the Open Society Foundations, founded by billionaire investor and Democratic Party donor George Soros, has provided funding to support the No Kings protests. So that just gives you a little bit of information. Funding comes from a mix of progressive foundations, unions, and grassroots donations. That's how this protest is being funded, reportedly. We do know that the No Kings movement did stretch abroad. So let's take a look at some video here from Rome, Italy. The No Kings movement, again, stretching abroad to this area with a rally in Rome yesterday. Protesters, again, criticizing the Trump administration's agenda on several issues, including affordability, the war with Iran, and immigration enforcement. During the event here, marchers also rallied against Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu. Banners, as you can see, were waved protesting the Israeli and U.S. war with Iran as demonstrators call for a world free from wars. Your time is 9:24. When we return, we'll take a look at your forecast and then talk about TSA and what's happening over at the airport. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on this Sunday morning. Date is March 29th. We're heading to April, and the weather has been pretty nice here lately despite the pollen. Our Greg Majewski is here to talk about this weather. Hey there, Greg.
Hey, it's been out. It was gorgeous yesterday. Blue skies, cooler. That pollen count, like you said, has been above 4,000. And we're also fighting drought conditions here across the area. So hopefully we get some much needed rain in here for everybody here. So looking at the latest update, these are updated every Thursday, by the way. You can see the level 3 drought getting the extreme has been expanding here across northeast Georgia. Most of North Georgia sitting at level 2 and level 3 drought. So this will continue to go up, unfortunately, although we do have some rain in the forecast, not drought, but I mean, we literally have to get like 20 inches of rain over a period of time to kind of beat back this drought, but we're not seeing that just yet. Our last measurable rainfall was back on Monday the 16th, so it's been about 2 weeks since we've had some decent rains. The good news is we do have some rain in the forecast, but probably not coming at us until we get to about midweek, folks, okay? All right, so temperatures out there this morning were pretty cool. We had Lawrenceville down to 40 right there. We had some 30s around across northeast Georgia, but now the sun's up. Things are warming up nicely out there, setting up pretty nice. Atlanta bottomed out at 45. We're currently at 49 degrees here in the ATL, and I'm going to be setting up for a nice day, although a touch cool, not that bad, a little bit below normal. Normal highs right around 70. So we got clear skies out there for the moment. A lot across the southeast, but we are going to see some clouds sneaking back in here as we go into the late afternoon and into tonight. And because of those clouds, probably won't be as cool for overnight for tonight. And looking at the latest Fox model here, again, we'll see the clouds moving in here. It's trying to bring in some precipitation. I don't think we're going to get anything in here just yet. I think the mid-levels are kind of on the dry side. But as we go toward Wednesday, that's when I'm expecting some of the rains to get back in here with some scattered showers and maybe a few thunderstorms as we go through the week. And then for you guys thinking head to next Sunday, of course, next Sunday being Easter Sunday, we have a lot of sunrise services. Right now, the forecast models is trending toward a wet start to the morning with a cold front moving into the area. So that's how it is currently. Again, that's still a week away. Timing on that could change a little bit, so we'll watch that closely. But again, looking at intermittent clouds here all week here as we go through the week ahead. Now, the next 7 days, the Weather Prediction Center here is putting the heavier rains back to our west. We've got some rains here too. Inch and a half, maybe some localized areas getting close to 2 inches across a lot of North Georgia, Metro Atlanta, maybe close to an inch, and then of course lesser amounts down to the south. So parts of the state are maybe get a little bit of relief, but not a whole lot there. So forecast for today, again, we're going to top out somewhere around 65, 66 for this afternoon, and we'll see those clouds kind of sneaking in here for tonight. So most areas will be down into the 50s for tomorrow morning. And the rest of the 7-day forecast, we're going to be back in the 70s tomorrow, going into the 80s, lower 80s here on Tuesday, and then we're going to stay kind of warm all week, but notice the chance of rain goes at 40% up to 50% for Friday and Saturday. And like I said, next Sunday, still tracking a little wet weather there for next Sunday morning.
All right, Greg, thanks so much for giving us that forecast update. And hopefully, you know, when we get to spring break, that warm weather, that 80-degree weather can stay.
Well, yeah, it can stay if you're going to the beaches.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Greg, thanks so much. We'll see you a little bit later. Okay. Guys, let's talk about the airport. So a quiet morning was reported at the airport today, and even yesterday was a quiet day. So let's talk about that, because we know that the airport has been a little chaotic lately, being reported as a flightmare. Conditions at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport appeared calm and running normally this morning and yesterday, even as the ongoing partial shutdown continues to impact staffing levels and create some uncertainty for travelers. Passengers did report on social media, from what we saw, some short lines and smooth experiences, which was a contrast to the long wait times we've been seeing in recent weeks. Despite the relatively quiet conditions, officials warned the situation still remains unpredictable. This week it was described like a box of chocolates, because you don't know what you're going to get. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS that is, says about 40% of TSA workers in Atlanta have called out during the shutdown. while others continue working without pay. ICE agents have also been assisting with ID checks and crowd control this past week. Not quite sure if they're still there this morning, but we know that they were deployed to airports across the country, including here in Atlanta this past week. Union officials for TSA say the financial toll on the workers remains severe, and we know that more than 3,500 TSA agents reportedly called out of work on Friday across the nation, according to DHS. But some good news for TSA workers. They're expected to get paid. That is tomorrow. So that sounds great. President Trump signed an executive order on Friday authorizing payments to TSA agents. Trump told the Department of Homeland Security to redirect funding to pay TSA employees, and it has been reported that that money will come from last summer's One Big Beautiful Act. A message was sent to TSA workers to tell them that they will be paid what they are owed for pay periods 3, 4, and 5, and employees should expect most of their back pay and their direct deposits starting March 30th, which is tomorrow. The message also told employees that they were all expected to return to work yesterday. We know that roughly 60,000 TSA employees worked without pay during this partial government shutdown, including transportation security officers. And during this time, numerous organizations and businesses across Metro Atlanta have stepped up to help TSA workers by supplying food and other assistance. We also know that people have stepped up across the nation, providing donation boxes at airports across the nation. Filmmaker Tyler Perry has also pitched in. Reportedly, he donated $250,000 and Visa gift cards to TSA employees at Hartsfield Jackson. And his team gave the gift cards to a TSA leader on Friday to distribute to individual workers. This is according to people.com. But again, we'll continue to monitor this situation. Good news that TSA workers are expected to get paid tomorrow. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to work without pay, so I understand their frustration here. Hopefully, the situation will continue to get better. Even the wait times. I tried to check on the wait times for you, but again, the website is still saying, due to current federal conditions, passengers are advised to allow at least 4 hours or more for domestic and international screening. So still telling people to arrive 4 hours early, not updating you all on the times. But again, we'll continue to monitor this situation. So what's next for DHS, the Department of Homeland Security? Because again, that shutdown continues. And while TSA agents are getting paid, we know that Congress is still going head to head on how to fund DHS. Excuse me. That phrase there is giving me some trouble right now. But we know that this shutdown, this partial shutdown, began on Valentine's Day. So it's been several weeks here into this shutdown. The House and Senate passed legislation on Friday to fund the Department of Homeland Security, but it was not the same piece of legislation, so DHS still remains shut down. The Senate will meet for a pro forma session tomorrow morning, so this session is a brief, typically a few-minute meeting of the U.S. Congress, can be the House or the Senate, where no legislative business or voting takes place. They serve as a legal formality to satisfy the constitutional requirement that neither chamber adjourns for more than 3 days without the other's consent. So it sounds like they're still working through this. House Speaker Mike Johnson is hopeful that Senate Republicans can pass the CR by unanimous consent. There is usually no business conducted again during those sessions. Democrats are likely to send a senator to object the motion. Continuing on the topic of DHS, we know a leader there has resigned since Kristi Noem was fired and Senator Markwayne Mullin took over her place. He was confirmed and sworn in this past week. So that government employee who worked closely with President Trump is Corey Lewandowski. He departed the Department of Homeland Security again after Kristi Noem's firing. Corey Lewandowski no longer works at the department. the DHS confirmed in a statement to Politico on Friday. Lewandowski served as an unpaid advisor to former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and was President Trump's campaign manager in 2016. So Lewandowski started working as a political advisor to Noem when she was South Dakota's governor and lobbied for Trump to name her DHS chief. So he was really pushing for her. Not surprised here that she was fired and he decided to walk away. We know that Trump fired her earlier this month and later named her as special envoy for Western Hemisphere security issues. No further details have been provided regarding the reason behind Lewandowski's departure or if he will have any future government roles. Your time is 9:36. When we return, we'll have some local headlines and the latest on the search for Nancy Guthrie. Welcome back. I'm Jasmine Cornell here at Fox 5 News Live. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about some local headlines and then the search for Nancy Guthrie. A GSP trooper, Georgia State Patrol trooper, was involved in an officer-involved shooting in Newton County after a chase there. Let's talk about this. A 20-year-old Covington man shot by a Georgia State Patrol trooper. This happened on Friday afternoon. This happened around 3:30 p.m. on Old Oak Court near Salem Road. And according to the GBI, who is investigating this, GBI typically investigates officer-involved shootings. Troopers were attempting to pull over Jamari Thurman while assisting the GBI Metro Gang task force agents. The GBI stated the stop was for a traffic violation, and the suspect here, Thurman, led troopers on a pursuit that ended in the cul-de-sac of Old Oak Court, and that's what you see there on your screen. Investigators say Thurman fled the car on foot, so he ran away. He got out the car and ran away. That's what that means. He did this when a trooper saw Thurman was holding a firearm. The officer fired a shot, striking him, and a representative with GSP confirmed the trooper was not injured, but the suspect there, Thurman, was flown from the nearby Liberty Middle School to a local hospital. Now, it's unclear if the suspect here will face any charges, but the GBI will investigate the use of force here and turn over its findings to the district attorney's office in that area. Again, GSP trooper involved in a shooting here after a chase in Newton County. We don't know if the suspect here will be charged. And again, GBI is investigating this incident. Let's move now to a devastating story here. We now know the name of a 2-year-old who died in a fire in McDonough. Let me change the banner there so you can see what I'm talking about here. That picture there is on your screen and just showing you the scene of this terrible story here. A 2-year-old killed in this fire. They died on Thursday evening after being pulled from the burning townhome you see on your screen. This is according to fire officials. Fire crews were called to Labont Parkway just after 4:40 p.m. for this structure fire. And when they arrived to this home, family members told firefighters that a child was still inside the bedroom of the burning home. Now, crews reported seeing flames coming from a second-story window. First responders immediately searched the home and removed the child who was taken to a local hospital. But sadly, that child died from their injuries at the hospital and has been identified as 2-year-old Demetrius Dillard. Crews extinguished the flames and did prevent the fire from spreading. But again, a family mourning the loss of a child. Very sad here. The American Red Cross is assisting residents who were displaced in this fire. Our thoughts are with that family who lost their child and also with the people who are without a home. So state fire marshals are investigating the cause of this fire. We don't know just yet what caused it, the incidents that led up to the fire, but we're working to learn more on this story. Again, a 2-year-old killed here in this fire and several residents without a home. Let's talk about the latest on the search for Nancy Guthrie. So Nancy Guthrie is the mother of Savannah Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie is the host for NBC's Today Show. So today marks day 57 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. She is the 84-year-old mother of NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. We are entering the 8th week since her disappearance, so 2 months. She disappeared from her Tucson area home on February 1st. Authorities believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will. So what's new here? So yesterday, police said a woman's body was pulled from a Scottsdale canal on Saturday. That was yesterday, but it has no apparent connection to Nancy Guthrie case. So that is the update here, that police found a body in the Scottsdale Canal, but has no apparent connection to the search for Nancy Guthrie. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the updates that we've seen in recent weeks. So Savannah Guthrie, we do know now, she announced that she will return to the Today Show on April 6th. This is according to NBC. Savannah says, she says, quote, "It's hard to imagine doing it because it's such a place of joy and lightness." And she says, quote, "I can't come back and try to be something that I'm not." Understandably here. Savannah told Hoda Kotb in part 3 of an interview that aired on March 27th, so just a couple of days ago. She says, quote, "But I cannot come back." She said, actually, but I can't not come back because it's my family. I think it's part of my purpose right now. I can't imagine just being in her shoes and having to return to work in the midst of this, even returning to TV in the midst of this. But she says that she does plan to do this on April 6th. During her sit-down interview with her co-host Kotb, Savannah described the chaos and disbelief surrounding Nancy's disappearance after her sister called saying that their mother was missing. Savannah says her family is in agony and the ongoing search, her family is in agony amid the ongoing search for Nancy. The Pima County Sheriff's Department warned the public about fundraising scams connected to Nancy's disappearance. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos told a news station there in Tucson that investigators now believe something may have happened weeks before Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home. The Guthrie family released a news statement on the 21st of March asking the community for renewed attention, saying, quote, "No deal is too small and it may be the key." They are asking for any footage, text observations, or conversations that hold significance. Again, we're continuing to follow the story. Nancy Guthrie went missing the night of January 31st, but she was reported missing on February 1st when she didn't show up to church. You know, we are continuing again to follow the story. Savannah offering a $1 million reward for the recovery of her mother. Anyone with information is encouraged to call 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI. The Pima County Sheriff's Department has also set up a tip line. Again, beware of any scams involving this case. Your time right now is 9:46. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about some more national news. All right, something people have been talking about nationally. For the first time in American history, a sitting president's name will be on paper currency. The Treasury says it's because President Trump is the, quote, architect of America's golden age. That's the Treasury Department there. Democrats, of course, disagree with this, but the U.S. Treasury Department is planning to put Donald Trump's signature on all new U.S. paper currency. The agency announced this on Thursday. This move would be a first again for a sitting president, since traditionally U.S. paper currency carries the signatures of the Treasury Secretary and the Treasurer, not the president. It's the latest instance of Trump putting his name and likeness on American cultural institutions following his renaming of the U.S. Institute of Peace, the Kennedy Center Performing Arts venue, and a new class of battleships, among other tributes. And the plans come in tandem with an ongoing effort to get Trump's face on a coin, which has also drawn some criticism since federal law prohibits the depiction of a living president on U.S. currency. So just a story that people have been talking about here, hearing from both sides of the equation. The Treasury says the plan to include Trump's signature on all new paper currency is intended to honor the nation's 250th birthday, and that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's signature would also appear on the currency. Moving now, a federal judge in New York City has rejected the request to dismiss drug trafficking charges against former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife. The two appeared in court on Thursday. And let me change that banner for you to say what the story is about. They appeared in court on Thursday to face some drug trafficking charges. An attorney for Maduro argued the U.S. government has been keeping his client from funding his defense. President Trump has accused the former Venezuelan president of being a major purveyor of drugs coming into the U.S. The two, Maduro and his wife, are being held in a detention center in Brooklyn. A trial date has not been set. Your time is 9:50. When we return, we'll take a look at an event or preview an event that is, helping veterans. Our Eli Jordan is out there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, guys. Downtown Noonan getting ready for this bike rally, ready to roar. Our Eli Jordan is there. This event, Throttles for Junkies bike rally, and it's supposed to support veterans. So, Eli, tell us about this event there and how they're getting ready.
Hey, good morning, Jasmine. Yeah, I'm out here in Noonan, and they are getting ready for their spring event, the Throttle Junkies for Vets by Vets. Their first annual spring event here in Noonan. It's going to help support veterans and raise money to get a service dog to a couple of veterans out here. And service dogs aren't cheap at all because they can go through all the training and all that, but they can be a huge help for someone in need of a little helping hand around the house and all that. And right now I am out here with the organizer of the Throttle Junkies, Mr. Joe Wright. Hey, Joe Wright.
Hey,
you're a Marine yourself, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And thanks for your service and all that. But tell me, why are you doing this out here today?
We did it in the fall, and we decided that, hey, we'd try another one in the spring, see how it goes, and put it out on social media and started raising money for service dogs this year to buy veteran service dogs and make that the mission. And it grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and here we are.
And Throttle Junkies has been around for, you say, about 6 years?
It's been around for 6 years, yes, sir.
And have you been the whole time?
Yes, sir.
How much money have you raised over the 6 years?
Right at or a little over $100,000. I don't have the exact number on me right this minute, but right at $100,000.
So, I mean, you've seen, you've been in the military service yourself, 4 years, served 4 years.
Yes, sir.
And just tell me about mean, because we seem like, veterans, give up their lives for this country, but it seems like the country kind of forgets about them, and, they're needing rallies like this.
Yeah, and that's really where it kind of kicked off was when I started. When I got out of the Marines, I started doing my VA stuff, and that's really where it started hitting me was, I had to fight the VA, left and right, try to get anything. And, veterans that don't have the resources to pay a lawyer or someone of that nature don't have the money. And, that's where we started it at, was trying to help veterans when in need that aren't getting what they need from the government.
Yeah, I mean, if you serve, veterans should not ever have to worry about anything at all.
Unfortunately, we do.
Yeah, I know, unfortunately. And it's a sad state. But this is a good thing happening here today because, taking up, some responsibility and helping out. What can people expect when they come out here?
What we can expect is we're going to have a sound competition today. We're going to have some pretty heavy hitter bikes come out.
Sound is in like motor sound or?
Radio sound.
Gotcha, okay.
There'll be some bikes out here with 12 plus speakers on them, and that'll be pretty crazy. And then we'll also have a bike show going on, which some of them are set up over here now. We got a few of them, kind of early still, but
I like these eight hangers over here on this chopper over here.
Yeah, that's Art Dunner. He actually just got invited to a Chrome and something. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's a big time builder show.
So we're gonna have all sorts of cool bikes out here.
Oh, you got a lot of cool bikes out here. We get a ton of support, locally, and there's people coming from all over the state today, and out of state today to this thing.
So there's gonna be refreshments, vendors, and things like that.
We have a beer trailer set up over here. We have obviously inside you have the restaurant of RPM. They have full bar, food menu, all that good stuff. We got the sound off will go over here. On the other side, we have church going on right now. So as soon as church lets up, those folks move. That's the only person I don't argue with is God.
I hear you.
So we let them do their thing, and then we're trying to get set up over here. But we got our tent here. We sell merchandise. That helps us with our operating costs, so we don't have to take money out of the funds we raise.
And so this will be going on until 6 p.m. today, right?
6 p.m. today, yes.
And I guess everybody's family's invited. Come out and check out, even if you're not a bike rider.
If you're not a bike rider, it's a family-friendly event. Come out here and check it out. We got the sound, we got the bike shows, we got a DJ, we got two guys singing, who's a veteran himself, and then we have Russ Gordon also going to be singing today too. So,
and there's also going to be several streets blocked off here. It's just not secluded to this little quarter here. They got Madison Street will be closed between College Street and Jefferson, and then Brown Street will be closed between West Washington and Wesley Street. So if you live in Noonan, you need to know that. But it's going to be a good hopping time down here. Joe Wright hosting the Throttle Junkies
Spring Rally.
Spring Rally, yeah. But it's for vets by vets.
That's correct.
You're benefiting vets. Get the service dog. Tell me what kind of service dogs you guys are looking at.
It just depends on what the veteran needs. So what happens is we work with a company that vets out the veterans. So if there's something with PTSD or if it's something with low blood sugar, the dogs are different prices.
Gotcha.
So they vet out and tell us what the veteran needs, and then we pay them.
Awesome, Joe Wright. Thank you very much. Marine himself, Marine veteran, out here. Throttle Junkies Spring Rally, Noonan.
Oh, and we have vendors too. Forgot about that.
We got vendors down here, so come on, check it out. This thing will be growing. We'll bring in more and more each hour as they show up. Jasmine, back to you.
All right, Eli, thanks for showing us this event, which will support veterans. We'll check back in with you a little later. Guys, your time is 9:58. When we return, we'll take a look at some of your top headlines locally. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. We're streaming here on Fox Local and TikTok and also YouTube. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section on those platforms. Guys, remember this is a news conversation, so you can weigh in as I speak. Let's go ahead and get into some of our local headlines. 3 teens shot in Chamblee. This is while they were attending a party there. Let's get into the details. So they were shot early yesterday near the Shambley event hall. One has serious injuries. And so police say this all also involved a foot chase that ended with the suspect in custody. Officers were conducting a traffic stop around 12:45 yesterday morning near Buford Highway and Dresden Drive when they heard multiple gunshots coming from the area of 4300 Buford Highway. A sergeant responded to investigate and saw a man running from behind a business, jumping a fence towards the intersection. And again, this is all according to police. A lieutenant later located a suspect matching the description and attempted to stop him, but the suspect fled the scene again before being taken into custody in a nearby parking lot. Investigators say a firearm was recovered along the path where the suspect ran. Police say the 3 victims were attending a quinceañera at an event hall when the shooting happened. 2 are suffering from non-life-threatening injuries, while a third remains in critical condition, having serious injuries here. All were taken to a local hospital. The suspect was arrested and taken to the DeKalb County Jail, and authorities have not yet released his identity or the identity of the victims, the teenage victims involved in this shooting. And again, the investigation continues, and we'll be following up on this. Let's move forward to a house fire out in Jackson County. 1 person is dead as a result of this, and there's that video on your screen. Again, this happening in Jackson County, according to the sheriff's office there, in the Traditions of Brazelton neighborhood. Authorities say this fire happened at a home in that area, and crews later discovered a body inside. Officials confirm the GBI the GBI bomb squad, that is, responded to this scene and worked to clear the home of any potential explosives. The sheriff's office later confirmed that the individual who was found inside died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and was a military veteran who may have had some explosives in the home. 3 smoke grenades were found in a car, but no other explosives were found. The circumstances leading up to this fire and death do remain under investigation. Fox 5 Atlanta, we here are not choosing to name the person who died in this case because of the circumstances. And we do want to remind you, if you or your loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, please call that National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Dial 988. The Crisis Center provides free and confidential emotional support 24 hours a day. Moving to our next story, an Atlanta woman is missing after leaving a mysterious comment. So let's talk about this story. The Atlanta Police Department is searching for the woman on your screen. They're asking for your help. She was last seen earlier this week. So officers responded to this missing persons report around 1 p.m. yesterday at an address on Terminus Place Northeast. Family members there say they had not seen or heard from the woman on your screen. That's 37-year-old Kiera Emerson since March 26. So they hadn't heard from her in a few days here. Her father told officers that he last spoke with her by phone that day, and she indicated she was, quote, leaving forever. Police say the officers conducted a welfare check at her apartment but did not find her. Investigators believe she may be traveling in her car. Authorities also say she suffers from depression and may be armed. She's described as being 5'6" and weighs 140 pounds. She was driving a white 2026 Honda with a Georgia tag RHN 8992. Again, that's RHN 8992. So if you have any information on her whereabouts or her car, you're urged to call 911 or the Atlanta Police Department. And again, this investigation remains ongoing. Police are also investigating a shooting that happened late last night on Moreland Avenue in Atlanta. So officers were called to the scene for reports of a person shot. When they got there, police say they found an adult man suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. He did die on scene, so he was pronounced dead on scene by medical personnel last night. Police took questions from reporters following this incident. Let's take a listen to what he said.
This evening at approximately 8 p.m., officers were dispatched to a person shot at this location, 1401 Moreland Avenue. Upon arrival, they located a black male inside the business, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. So despite life-saving efforts, he was pronounced deceased on scene. He was a 37-year-old black male. So right now we've got homicide detectives on scene, trying to gather any kind of evidence we can and speak to any witnesses that might have been here during the incident.
Did you all think he was shot inside or came here? Or?
It appears that he was already here inside the business, and he was shot inside, yes.
Any word on a suspect?
Still preliminary. We've got some information that we're working with, and we're working with our internal partners to disseminate that and trying to get some more details on what we're looking for.
Should people who live around here, walk around here, be worried, or is this an isolated thing?
So far from what we've been able to tell, it appears it's an isolated incident, so no threat to the community that we believe. It looks like it was an isolated incident.
So I spoke to a lady earlier who, she says she was the one who called 911 and had found the gentleman back there. She was saying if he'd been found sooner, there was a chance that he might have made it. Can you speak to that at all?
I'm not a medical professional, but I don't think anybody can really say that. He does have multiple gunshot wounds to his torso, so we'd have to go back and run when the 911 call was, but there's no way to know that for 100%.
But if he was potentially shot in the premises, was there an employee that was working who may have heard the shots fired inside the building?
We're still trying to review video camera footage, so we'll tie that all together and see who was there, the circumstances of that. But as for us to say if he could have been saved if somebody had made a 911 call earlier, I mean that we're not able to comment on that and say that for sure.
Anything else you think people should know?
No, if anybody has tips, feel free to give Crime Stoppers a call, of course. They're very valuable to us, and if anybody has any information, just make sure to call Homicide.
Again, guys, that's Lieutenant Christopher Butler there with the Atlanta Police Department giving reporters an update on this situation. No suspect information has been released here. And again, this investigation is active and ongoing. Like Christopher Butler said there, this person does not pose a threat to the public, and he believes it's an isolated incident. I wanted to recap the details in the shooting just in case you're just now joining us. The shooting happened near that gas station there on Moreland Avenue in Atlanta. One person is dead. This happened yesterday around 8:04 p.m. and officers responded there for calls of a person shot. They found the 37-year-old male victim, and again, medical personnel pronounced him dead on the scene. This investigation continues. We don't have any information just yet on the suspect or the identity of the victim, but we do know he was a 37-year-old male victim. Guys, moving forward now, let's talk about the protests, that swept across the state and the nation. They're opposing President Trump's policies. Several took place here in the Atlanta area. And so I want to put up this banner so you know what I'm talking about. Ahead of yesterday's protests, we know that two civil rights groups spoke to outline their plans and to discuss their demands. Let's take a quick listen.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is Laura Judge, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, a statewide network of grassroots indivisible organizations and community leaders working to defend democracy, protect civil liberties, and build people power across Georgia. Today, people across our state will join communities in all 50 states for a nationwide day of action with one clear message. We don't do kings in this country. Power belongs to the people. Indivisible groups across Georgia have been organizing for years to make sure our communities are informed, engaged, and ready to take action. And through Indivisible National, we are part of a broader movement that connects local organizing to coordinated nationwide action. The No Kings mobilization is one of those moments. It brings together people across the country who are standing up for the same basic idea, that in a democracy, no one is above the law. What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions, and people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments. Today's protest in Atlanta will be a peaceful, community-led action that includes a march and a rally. It is designed to be like our past events, accessible, organized, and rooted in nonviolence. People can expect a strong, visible show of our community, with folks from across the state coming together and share values of freedom, fairness, and accountability. This is not about any one person, it's about a bigger people. We believe in a country where leaders are held accountable, where our rights are protected, and where power stays where it belongs, with the people. And that's why we're showing up today. We invite everyone who believes in those values to join us. Show up, bring your community, be part of something bigger, because this is how we protect our democracy. No kings, not here, not now, not ever. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the ACLU of Georgia, an organization wholeheartedly devoted to protecting your civil rights and civil liberties. Let me be clear from the offset. We do not have kings in this country. We have a Constitution. And today, we are here because the Constitution and all of the rights that's guaranteed under it are under threat. An abuse of power, an erosion of our democratic norms, and direct attacks on the rights of everyday people. That include attacks on the right to vote, efforts to rewrite the truth of the 2020 election, and the policies that undermine the very foundation of our democracy. That should be a concern to every American, regardless of political party. Because this is not about partisanship. This is about power. This is about accountability. We are also seeing the human cost of this administration. Families separated, communities living in fear, journalists being detained, and immigration enforcement that mirrors abuses of people across this country, and that's why we're out here today protesting. Let me say this plainly. We marched to stop the brutalization of communities by police, and we will not accept the same brutality under a different name. From Social Circle to Hall County to seeing detention centers and practices popping up over Georgia that are not wanted or needed. People are not packages, and this country is not a kingdom. At the very same time, we are calling on leaders at every level of government, local, state, and federal, to do your job. Members of Congress must exercise your constitutional authority on other branches. They must protect programs like Medicaid that millions rely on, and they must defend the constitutional balance of power, including their own authority. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. And let me be equally clear about why we are here today. People across the country have a fundamental First Amendment right to petition their government. That right is not optional. It is not conditional. It is fundamental. The No Kings movement is about reminding this nation that power belongs to the people, not only the office holders. And in moments like this, when our democracy is not self-executing, we need people to stand up. It requires participation. So we are calling on people to stay engaged, show up, speak out, make sure you vote in every election, and support organizations that are doing the work every single day to protect your civil rights and civil liberties. Because this movement is not theoretical. It's urgent. It's needed. So I will close where I began. We do not have kings in this country. We have laws, we have rights, and we have a constitution. Let's uphold it. Thank you.
Welcome back, guys. You just heard from some civil rights groups on the No Kings protests, and we're going to continue coverage of that, those protests taking place yesterday. But first, let's go ahead and talk about weather. Our Greg Majeski is at the Weather Center to talk about what we're going to see today, and I'm crossing my fingers for 80-degree temperatures.
Well, it's not going to be quite that warm today, but it will be later in the week. And then the other side of the equation is we're going to get some rain finally back in here. The pollen has been through the roof. It was over 4,000 yesterday. Haven't checked the new reading for today to see where it's at. But the other part of the story is the fact that we've been dealing with really kind of building drought conditions all through the winter, now into early spring. And this has been creeping up, now getting into level 3. So I do suspect on the next report coming up here this week that we'll see it kind of go up again as we're going to continue to deal with these drought conditions that are continuing to worsen across the region. But the good news is we do have some rain in the forecast. Now, the last time we had some decent rains in the area was back in about 2 weeks ago, so about back on the 16th. So it's been on the dry side here across North Georgia, and the good news is we do have some rain in the forecast, but not for the rest of your weekend. Weekend's looking pretty good. Now, temperature-wise, warming up nicely with the sunshine out there. We did have a few 30s out there, but nothing that causes any problems. Currently 51 degrees there in the ATL, 54 in Cartersville, 48 up in Gainesville. And elsewhere here across North Georgia, how about 49 up in Clayton and Blue Ridge, 53 in Rome. So everybody warming up pretty nicely with a lot of sunshine here on your Palm Sunday. Now, we are seeing a lot of clear skies out there for the moment. We are anticipating some clouds to move back in here as we go into the late afternoon, into the evening hours, but looking pretty quiet out there right now across the southeast. Things warming up here nicely, and the big story for this week's going to be the fact that we're going to be returning to above normal temperatures as we go through the week, along with those rain chances that we're anticipating here later this week. Now, with the forecast model showing you, we're going to get some clouds coming back in here as you go into late afternoon. No real precipitation. The model's still trying to spit out some here, but I'm not really buying that just yet. Might see a nice little shower going into your Tuesday, and then a better chance going into Wednesday, and that should linger right into the weekend. Now, I know next weekend, next Sunday, of course, is Easter. Right now, looking at the latest model run, looks like we may have some rain coming in with a cold front on Easter Sunday morning, so sunrise services could be a little damp. Of course, it's still a week away, subject to change, so we'll be watching the timing on that here all week long. But everything looking pretty good here. Again, we'll be watching for some isolated showers here on Tuesday, and we'll see how things develop here on your Wednesday afternoon as we get into the forecast for the middle of the week. All right, now as far as what the Weather Prediction Center is issuing out, some pretty decent rains, very nice big coverage, rain coverage. We need some of this over us. Now, we're getting some, nothing too bad, but we're looking at maybe a little over an inch and a half. This purple area maybe getting close to 2 inches in there. So most of Metro Atlanta maybe right around an inch here going into next week, but hopefully this will be revised upward when the new update comes out here later this afternoon. All right, so here's our forecast for today. Again, sunshine through the lunch hour, looking great. Then we'll bring in some high and mid-level clouds coming back in here as we head toward the evening hours. Now, because of the clouds coming in for tonight, it should be nearly as cold here overnight. So instead of some 30s and 40s, it'll be mostly 50s here for tonight, except for the northeast Georgia mountains. And then we'll see the temperatures warming up. Yeah, we're expecting back in the low 80s by Tuesday. Here come the rain chances coming in on Wednesday. That's going to stick with us right through the end of the week. Overnight lows here in the 60s. So dry and comfortable day ahead, but again, just get ready for some rain later in the week, which is some good news, and hopefully knock down those pollen levels that have been running in the extreme category for the last 7 days.
All right, Greg, thanks so much for giving us an update here on our weather forecast. We'll let you get back to work. Guys, let's go ahead and circle back to the No Kings protests that happened across the nation and across Georgia yesterday. So, let's get into this. Thousands of demonstrators gathered across Metro Atlanta alone yesterday as part of this No Kings protest, this nationwide movement with large crowds reported in Tucker, downtown Atlanta, and Sandy Springs. So again, these protesters going against Trump's policies in Tucker. That's the video you're seeing on your screen. Protesters filled a busy stretch near La Vista Road and Henderson Mill Road with crowds estimated in the thousands, and Tucker as well earlier yesterday. Participants said they were motivated by concerns about federal leadership and policies. In downtown Atlanta, thousands gathered near the Georgia State Capitol, and we haven't got quite to that video just just yet, but they gathered near the Georgia State Capitol earlier yesterday before dispersing, while a separate protest again happened in Sandy Springs, drew about 500 people. So organizers say the demonstrations again are part of this broader national movement aimed at amplifying concerns with the current administration and encouraging civic engagement. I do want to point out that these protests were peaceful. No incidents, no violent incidents were reported in the protests. One protester emphasized the broader significance of these demonstrations, saying, "We're just doing what Atlanta has always done, and I'm very proud to be a part of it." Law enforcement didn't maintain a presence along protest routes across Georgia and across the nation. But again, no major incidents were reported here in the Atlanta area. Let's take a quick listen to some protesters in our area from yesterday.
I am supporting the folks against what we have right now in Washington. Our leader is just incompetent, and I've had enough.
The biggest crowd we had to this point was 15,000. We definitely broke that record. Today we doubled the length of the route, and we had people on every inch of sidewalk on 2.1 miles. So we're guessing we're probably north of 20,000 people, which was a big surprise.
I believe there's a lot of reasons that people need to speak out and make their voice be heard and let this current administration know that we do not go along with what they're doing.
We don't want any kings in our country. We just need a president that listens to the people, for the people, by the people.
At our age, we were doing this in the 60s. So just to continue, it just seems like ridiculous that we're still having to protest.
Again, you just listened to protesters at the rallies in Tucker and in downtown Atlanta. We want to give you the other side. It's important for us to be fair here and share both sides of the story. So Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon did speak out, and he pushed back on these demonstrations, saying in part, quote, "President Trump was elected by the American people to serve as our leader under the Constitution." And he argued that, quote, "the real threat to our republic comes from the unelected officials influencing policy." He did release a full statement, and I won't read the entire statement. It's pretty lengthy here, but I will read a part of it. He says in part, quote, "The so-called No Kings protests against President Donald Trump are an outrageous display of hypocrisy and political theater. President Trump was elected by the American people not once but twice to serve as our leader under the Constitution. These demonstrations," he says, "rail against an imaginary monarch while the voters' clear mandate is carried out by the very man they elected. It is absurd to treat a twice-elected president as some sort of king when he must face the American people at the ballot box every 4 years." Again, I'm reading a statement here, if you're just joining, from the Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon, who spoke out against the nationwide No Kings protests yesterday. He goes on to say that the real threat to our republic, the closest thing America has to kings, are the unelected federal judges who routinely substitute their own policy preferences for the will of the people and their elected representatives. He goes on to say, "Georgia Republicans reject this judicial tyranny. We stand for a constitutional republic where power flows from the people to their elected officials, not from unaccountable judges who act as kings. The American people have spoken. We will not be lectured by those who fear democracy when it delivers results they dislike." Again, that's a statement there from Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon on the No Kings protests happening. We do know that the No Kings movement in the U.S. stretched abroad. Let's take you out to Rome, Italy, where a rally was held there. This movement happened yesterday. Again, protesters criticizing the Trump administration's agenda on several issues, including affordability, the war with Iran, and immigration enforcement. During this event here in Rome, marchers also rallied against the Italian Prime Minister and Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu. Banners were waved protesting the Israeli and U.S. war with Iran, as demonstrators there called for a world free of wars. And there you see those signs there. One person holding up Trump, one person holding up the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, and Another holding up Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu. Again, the No Kings movement stretching abroad, happening not just here in the U.S., but internationally. Guys, let's talk about what's happening at the Atlanta airport now. A quiet morning reported there. Some good news, especially since this past week we saw a lot of chaos. It was being described as a flightmare here. So conditions at Hartsfield-Jackson appeared calm and operating normally this morning and even yesterday, even as this ongoing government shutdown continues to impact staffing levels and create uncertainty for travelers, for you all. Passengers reported on social media short lines and smooth experiences early yesterday, which is a contrast to the long wait times that we've been seeing throughout the recent weeks. Despite these relatively quiet conditions, officials do warn the situation remains unpredictable. If you go to the TSA website, the TSA security wait times website for Atlanta, it's still advising travelers to allow at least 4 hours or more for domestic and international screenings. So just something to keep in mind here. Officials still saying this situation remains unpredictable. Some people describing it like a box of chocolates because you don't know what you're going to get. But DHS says about 40% of TSA workers in Atlanta alone have called out during this shutdown, while other workers continue working without pay. ICE agents have also been assisting with ID checks and crowd control this past week. I don't know if they're still there this morning, but we know that they were deployed to airports across the nation, including here in Atlanta this past week. Union officials for TSA say the financial toll on workers remains severe, and more than 3,500 TSA agents reportedly called out of work just on Friday across the nation. This is according to the Department of Homeland Security. But some good news for TSA agents here. They are expected to get paid starting tomorrow. President Trump has signed an executive order. He did this on Friday. It authorizes payments to TSA agents. Trump told DHS to redirect funding to pay TSA employees, and it has been reported that the money will come from last summer's One Big Beautiful Act. A message was sent to TSA workers to tell them that they will be paid what they are owed for pay periods 3, 4, and 5, and employees should expect most of their back pay and their direct deposit starting March 30th, which is tomorrow. The message also told employees that they were all expected to return to work yesterday. We do know roughly 60,000 TSA employees went without pay during this government shutdown, including transportation security officers. And during this time, numerous organizations and businesses across Metro Atlanta and across the nation have stepped up to help TSA workers by supplying food and other assistance. Tyler Perry, he was one of those who pitched in, reportedly donating $250,000 in Visa gift cards to TSA employees at Hartsfield-Jackson. His team reportedly gave these gift cards to a TSA leader on Friday to distribute to individual workers. And we also know that in airports across the nation, donation boxes have been set out to help TSA workers. So what's next here for DHS funding? Because, we're still in that partial government shutdown. So let's talk about what's next for the Department of Homeland Security. The House and Senate did pass legislation on Friday to fund the Department of Homeland Security, but it was not the same piece of legislation. So DHS remains shut down. The Senate will meet for a pro forma session tomorrow morning. This is typically a brief few-minute meeting of the U.S. Congress, House, or Senate where no legislative business or voting takes place. They serve as a legal formality to satisfy the constitutional requirement that neither chamber adjourns for more than 3 days without the other's consent. So House Speaker Mike Johnson is hopeful Senate Republicans can pass a CR by unanimous consent. Again, there's usually no business conducted during these pro forma sessions. Democrats are likely to send a senator to object the motion. And staying on the topic of DHS, a leader there recently resigned. We're speaking of Corey Lewandowski. He was a government employee who worked closely with President Trump, and he departed the Department of Homeland Security after Kristi Noem's firing. So Lewandowski no longer works at the department. DHS confirmed this in a statement on Friday. He served as an unpaid advisor to Kristi Noem and was President Trump's campaign manager in 2016. Now, Lewandowski started working as a political advisor to Noem when she was South Dakota's governor, so he's been in her corner for a while, and he lobbied for Trump to name her as DHS chief. Trump, as we know, fired Noem earlier this month and later named her as a special envoy for Western Hemisphere security issues. No further details have been provided regarding the reasoning behind Lewandowski's departure or if he will have any future government roles. So your time now is 10:37. When we return, we'll take a look at some national headlines. All right, welcome back, guys. Spring celebration in full bloom at this Brookhaven Festival happening right now. It started at 10 this morning. Our Caitlin Pratt is there, and she has a look, an inside look at this very fun event. And your hair is just blowing in the wind, Caitlin. It looks like you're having some fun.
Good morning, Jasmine. Yes, I was thinking back to this time last year, okay? Let me switch the camera and you can see the setup right now. We're right in the initial stages of setting up here in the middle of sound check. That's the big stage right here at the Brookhaven Cherry Blossom Festival. I guess you would call this kind of the kickoff of the festival season here in the metro Atlanta area. And I'm gonna do a pan here so you can see the setup. This is the field where everyone spreads their blankets. You see that's happening right now, kind of claiming their spots, getting ready. They bring their pets, they bring their picnics, their chairs, all the things. This time last year, I was thinking back as I was walking up here to the field. Here, this is Blackburn Park in Brookhaven. Always a popular destination for families, but especially on this weekend, the last weekend of March, the Cherry Blossom Festival, now in its 11th year here in Brookhaven. Last year, it was rainy. Oh my gosh, and they were passing out umbrellas to everybody here. So it's such a nice perhaps a change of pace this year, that the weather is cooperating with the music planned, with all the family fun planned. You see that little guy's ready for some fun. And I'm taking you down here as we're streaming and you're watching this live with me as I walk down. Not just music, which by the way begins at 12:30. That's why they're doing sound check right now. But before that, if you arrive here early, this is already open, the artist market. Let me pan around here and you can see from the top of this hill here at Blackburn Park how many tents are available, how many artists are out here this morning. Everything. From art to just arts and crafts to different things as far as food, things of that nature. Let me give you a look at the lineup too. Today, Sunday, again, this all begins at 12:30. Sarah Hells, then the Nicotine Dolls, Avery Anna, Natasha Bedingfield, and we were talking about this earlier in the newsroom, Jasmine. I, of course, became a fan way back in the day, the 90s, and especially when that show The Hills was out, she sings the opening anthem for that. And then the headliner, 4:45, takes the stage, Max McDonough. So a big day ahead here in Brookhaven this Sunday. And I'm just going to walk down the line here and you can see what kind of things that maybe you're in the mood for browsing. Maybe you just like to look and experience different types of art. Like, that's amazing. How fun, three-dimensional. And then you're walking down and getting and introducing yourself to different stores like Chewy there, different establishments here in the Brookhaven metro Atlanta area. They always set up a tent for informational purposes, things of that nature. And I mentioned, you know, there's always food options, spices right here, always interesting. Maybe you need a little tie-dye for the young one in your life. If so, this will be the tent for you. Some jams, some jellies, some flavorings. So this is just a taste of some of the things that you can see for yourself, you can experience for yourself. This is pet friendly, by the way, which is always fun. And I don't think I mentioned this. It's free to get in, which is always a treat for a weekend and for the family, just getting out and about. We did catch up with one of the local leaders, just talking about how important it is to be out and about and really connect with the community. Take a listen.
We love seeing the community come together because we have a diverse community and we're a welcoming community. So no matter your background or your age, you're going to find something fun at the Brookhaven Cherry Blossom Festival.
Gift that you need to get for someone. We are entering that season, right? Mom's Day, Dad's Day, grads, they're getting ready to walk across the stage. So yeah, get a little something for the people who are on your list, and maybe a sweet treat for yourself or your little pup like I'm looking at right here. How fun. So Jasmine, a little something for everybody here. This will be going on throughout the day. It is open right now here in Brookhaven, the Cherry Blossom Festival. This is the artist market, and the music will begin at 12:30. People already putting their blankets out, claiming their spots. There's also some food trucks as well if you don't want to bring your own food. So just setting the stage for a really nice Sunday ahead. I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, that sounds great. So much fun. And yes, I used to listen to Natasha Bedingfield years ago. She had some top hits there. Pocket Full of Sunshine and Unwritten, Love Like This. She has some good songs, but this looks like a very fun event. We'll check back in with you later, Caitlin, and let you enjoy some of the fun there. Guys, your time is 10:45. Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have a few headlines. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. We're streaming here on Fox Local and YouTube and TikTok. So have any questions or comments, feel free to weigh in on this news conversation here. Let's talk Netflix. I know many of us have a Netflix subscription, and they are bumping their prices again, this time up $1. So the stories for those of you who use Netflix, it's going to cost you more. The standard subscription with ads just went up to $8.99 a month, so that's $1 up. Ad-free subscriptions now $2 more a month to $19.99 and $26.99. The last time the company raised their prices was January 2025. Now, this price hike here comes as Netflix invests heavily in its content. That's according to the platform there, including in new ventures into the live event space and into video podcasts. Again, guys, Netflix increasing their prices once again. We've seen streaming platforms do this, you know, in recent years over and over and over again. So if you pay for the basic Netflix plan, that's now going to cost you $8.99 a month. If you do ad-free subscriptions, you can be paying $19.99 or $26.99 a month. So that's just something, again, to keep in mind as you're budgeting and, you know, trying to navigate gas price increases, food price increases. This is another thing to add on the list that has increased. Again, the last time the company raised their prices was January of last year. So we're back here again with another price hike as Netflix says it's investing heavily in its content. Let's move forward and talk Esports. The first ever Esports Nations Cup is happening in a few years. So I don't know if you like esports. I have never tried esports, but I know plenty of gamers love esports. So it's about to get a much bigger audience just nationwide. The Esports World Cup Foundation is organizing a new tournament they hope will become the Olympics of professional gaming. It's a tale as old as traditional sports, athletes trading their club colors to compete under their nation's flag. Now esports is getting its own version of the Olympics. After a period of collaboration here, guys, the Esports Foundation and the International Olympic Committee have parted ways, prompting the foundation to launch the first ever Esports Nations Cup this November. So just in a few years, actually. I'm sorry, in a few months, actually, not years. The tournament will feature 16 titles ranging from heavy hitters like Counter-Strike 2 to mobile games and even chess. And while the $25 million prize pool is something big here, okay, the organizers say the real motivator is uncharted territory for pro gamers, national pride. But this isn't just for the established pros. The foundation is reviewing over 600 applications here to establish national team partners that will run qualifiers, creating a direct pathway for amateurs to represent their country on the world stage. So that's pretty cool. If you're not big into gaming or esports, but you want to get involved, this foundation here is reviewing over 600 applications to establish some team partners that will run as qualifiers. And plans are already in motion to rotate the cup to new host cities around the world in 2028 and beyond. This is a pretty cool opportunity, again, guys, for those of you who are interested in getting esports. This is getting a much bigger audience nationwide. Again, the first ever Esports Nation Cup is this November. So I just wanted to bring this up to you, you know, just to reach to a different audience who may be into esports and gaming. Let's move on, guys. Hundreds of motorcycles expected for a Noonan bike rally. Our Eli Jordan is there, downtown Noonan, getting ready to, oh, I hear the music there. They're definitely getting ready. I hear the background for the roar of motorcycles. So, Eli, talk about this Throttle Junkie Spring Bike Rally that's expecting hundreds of riders.
Oh yeah, Throttle Junkies for Vets, by Vets is out here at Noonan at the intersection of Jackson Street and Madison Street. Yeah, they're gonna have the, some roads blocked off, some blocks, streets blocked off, all that around here. But it is cranked up. It's gonna go on until 6 p.m. today to benefit veterans and all that good stuff. And I have who is a veteran himself. Let me get this camera flipped around here. Hello, Joe.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. So tell me, what's all that's going to be happening today?
Well, we have a bike show. We have a sound-off competition going off here at 2 o'clock. For sound-off being radios, not just like motorcycle motors and loud exhaust, but stereo systems. And we have already probably a couple hundred bikes, and it ain't even 11 o'clock yet. So as soon as church is over, we'll have this whole road cleared out, and we can have more parking. But the one person on earth I don't argue with is God. So, we're going to let church go on.
When people come out here, what can they expect? I mean, what all can they
have a good time? We got full bar. We got a cash bar outside. We got a full bar inside, full food. We got a couple other restaurants here in town that are prepared to go if we get overbooked here. We have awards, we have raffles, we have just a good time raising money. We have some vendors down the road here. Good time raising money for veterans.
And tell me, how you're raising money for vets. What do you guys? What's your focus in on raising money for exactly?
We buy service dogs for veterans. So we work through a company that vets out the veterans, so whether it be PTSD or blood sugar low or something like that with diabetes, and they vet them out, and whatever that veteran needs, we pay for that dog.
Tell me about Throttle Junkies a little bit. You guys been around for 6 years?
We've been around for 6 years. Been going hard at it for about 2. Honestly, this thing blew up way more than I ever thought it would. It was actually by accident, and that's a long story, but at the end of the day, I can't do it without these folks right here. I tell you, I've been around all walks of life, and there's nobody that gives and comes and shows up like bikers. Nobody.
And is this your first time in Noonan for the rally?
No, well, this first time for this one is spring. I had one in the fall.
Gotcha.
We do some smaller events, but this is the first major big one we've done.
And you said more people arriving than you expected it this early.
No, I was not expecting it this early, but hey, you know what? I love it, and we're going to make it happen.
So, I mean, we got all sorts of bikes, all sorts of kinds of different bikes, right?
Yes, sir. Everything you'd want to see is out here.
And just tell me about, how many bikes do you have?
I have 4.
You have 4 bikes?
Yes.
You got them all out here?
No, I only have 2 out here.
And there's going to be a rally. You can buy a rally ticket.
I do have one sitting over there. It's the black one. It's the raffle bike. A veteran that's actually going to sing first out here today. He donated the bike to us after he crashed it. And I took it completely apart, rebuilt it, and it's over there right now, $20 tickets.
Awesome. Well, Joe Wright, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I'm going to free you up because I know you're a busy man. Get this mic off of you real quick. And there we go. And I'll set you free, and we'll talk to you later on, and enjoy the rally. And Jasmine, that's what's going on out here in Noonan. They got some blocks, streets blocked off, but we got some heavy metal thunder out here going on with all these bikes showing up. It's going to be really cool. Several hundred bikers out here showing off their steel horses and crank it up. Do you have a good radio system in your bike? And do you have a cool looking bike? This is all to benefit veterans, helping raise money for support dogs for some vets out there that need a little bit of help around the house. Happening in Noonan today till 6 p.m. Come on out and enjoy it if you got nothing better to do. Jasmine?
Showing us this event again, guys. Throttle Junkies hosting a bike rally here to support veterans. It's so important to support the people who served our country and who currently serve our country. So like to see this event here. Before we head to break, I do want to bring up a quick story. Tiger Woods, we know that the Masters tournament is coming up soon. Tiger Woods was recently arrested in Florida, suspected of DUI. Officials there saying they don't believe he was driving under the influence of alcohol, but it could have been medication or drugs. So let's get into a little bit of the details here. Again, professional golfer Tiger Woods arrested in Florida under the suspicion of DUI after a rollover crash in Jupiter Island. The sheriff's office there said on Friday during a press conference that Woods was not suspected to be impaired by alcohol. He says that Woods took a breathalyzer test and passed that, but he refused a urinalysis. This crash happened on Friday afternoon, shortly before 2 p.m. on Jupiter Island. The sheriff says that Woods' Land Rover was speeding and collided with another car hauling a trailer, which resulted in his vehicle overturning. The sheriff also says it appears that Woods crawled out of the vehicle window. He was then booked into jail on charges of DUI, property damage, and refusing to take that urine test. The sheriff also says that Woods was seen leaving the jail around 11:30 p.m. That night after bonding out. And again, he is still facing charges. Now, we do know that Tiger Woods has a history of crashes, so Friday's crash marks the 4th time that he has been involved in a vehicle crash investigation, with the most notorious example dating back to 2009, that morning after Thanksgiving crash. We also know that Tiger Woods recently competed in a TGL championship earlier this week, according to Fox Sports. He competed in that championship that was held in Palm Beach Gardens. And so that, championship marked his return to competitive golf after rupturing his Achilles tendon. But we'll continue to follow the story on Tiger Woods here. Your time is 10:58. When we return, we'll have more of your local headlines as well. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell, streaming here on Fox Local and some of your favorite social media sites, including TikTok and YouTube. So remember, guys, this is a news conversation. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to weigh in the chat sections of those social media platforms. Let's go ahead and get into our local headlines, some devastating news that we've been following this morning. 3 teens shot while attending a party in Chamblee. Let's go ahead and talk about that, guys. Again, a very devastating situation here. This happened yesterday near the Chamblee event hall, leaving one in a life-threatening condition, one teen, and also prompting a foot chase with authorities that ended with a suspect in custody. So suspect is in custody here. Officers were conducting a traffic stop. That's how this all started. Around 12:45 in the morning yesterday near Buford Highway and Dresden Drive, when they heard multiple gunshots coming from the area of 4300 Buford Highway. Now, a sergeant responded to investigate the scene and saw a man running from behind a business. He also jumped a fence toward the intersection, according to police. Police also say a lieutenant later located that suspect matching the description, and attempted to stop him, but the suspect fled again before being taken into custody in a nearby parking lot. Investigators say a firearm was recovered along the path where the suspect ran, and they say 3 victims were attending a quinceañera at an event hall when the shooting happened. 2 suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. The third one remains in critical condition with serious injuries here. All teens were taken to local hospitals. The suspect, again, was arrested and taken to the DeKalb County Jail. Authorities have not released the suspect's identity or the identity of the teenage victims involved in this shooting. Moving forward, guys, another devastating story we're following out of Jackson County. 1 person is dead after a fire here. And there's the video there on your screen. You can see crews working to extinguish that fire. 1 person, again, dead in this house fire in Traditions of Brazelton neighborhood there in Jackson County. According to the sheriff's office, the fire happened at a home in that area, and crews later discovered a body inside. Officials say the GBI bomb squad responded to the scene and worked to clear this home of any potential explosives. The sheriff's office later confirmed that the individual who was found dead in this home died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound and was a military veteran. Very sad here, who may have had some explosives in that home. 3 smoke grenades were actually found in a vehicle, but no other explosives were found here. The circumstances leading up to this fire and the death here remain under investigation, and we've decided to not release the name of the person involved because of the circumstances surrounding their death. Again, police believe that they died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and we also want to send the message that if you or a loved one is struggling with a mental health concern, you want to dial 988. Please dial 988, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline there, to get some support. That Crisis Center provides free and confidential emotional support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is a good resource to use. Let's move forward, guys, back to the Atlanta area, where Atlanta police are searching for a missing woman. She's on your screen there. She disappeared after sending an odd message to her father. Let's get into the details here. That's Kiera Emerson on your screen. Investigators with Atlanta police are asking for your help in the search for Emerson, who was last seen earlier this week. So officers responded to this missing persons call around 1 p.m. yesterday at an address on Terminus Place Northeast. Family members reported that they had not seen or heard from 37-year-old Kiera Emerson since March 26. Her father told police that he had last spoke with her by phone that day, and she indicated she was leaving home forever. So what a scary statement to receive from your loved one. She's leaving home forever. That's according to her father. Again, she was last seen on Thursday. That was March 26. Police officers say that officers conducted a welfare check at her home, but did not locate her. Investigators believe she may be traveling in her vehicle and that she reportedly suffers from depression and may be armed. So she's described as being 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighs about 140 pounds. She was driving a white 2026 Honda car with a Georgia tag of RHN 8992. So that tag for her license plate is RHN 8992. And here's what you can do. If you have any information on Emerson or her whereabouts, call Atlanta Police, dial 911. This investigation remains ongoing until they find Miss Emerson here on your screen. Another story that we're following here in the Atlanta area, one is dead after a shooting on Moreland Avenue, and that gas station there on your screen. I'm going to change the banner here. Again, this happening on Moreland Avenue. So police are investigating this deadly shooting here that happened late last night. Officers were called to the area for reports of a person shot. And when they got there to the scene, police say they found an adult man suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. He did die on scene. Medical personnel there pronounced him dead on scene. Police took questions from reporters after this incident. Let's take a listen to what was said.
This evening at approximately 8 p.m., officers were dispatched to a person shot at this location, 1401 Moreland Avenue. Upon arrival, they located a black male inside the business, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. So despite life-saving efforts, he was pronounced deceased on scene. He was a 37-year-old black male. So right now we've got homicide detectives on scene, trying to gather any kind of evidence we can and speak to any witnesses that might have been here during the incident.
Did you all think he was shot inside or came here? Or?
It appears that he was already here inside the business, and he was shot inside, yes.
Any word on a suspect or description?
Still preliminary. We've got some information that we're working with, and we're working with our internal partners to disseminate that and trying to get some more details on what we're looking for.
Should people who live around here, walk around here, be worried, or is this an isolated thing?
So far from what we've been able to tell, it appears it's an isolated incident, so no threat to the community that we believe. It looks like it was an isolated incident.
So I spoke to a lady earlier who, she says she was the one who called 911 and had found the gentleman back there. She was saying if he'd been found sooner, there was a chance that he might have made it. Can you speak to that at all?
I'm not a medical professional, but I don't think anybody can really say that. He does have multiple gunshot wounds to his torso, so we'd have to go back and run when the 911 call was, but there's no way to know that for 100%.
But if he was potentially shot in the premises, was there an employee that was working who may have heard the shots fired inside the building?
We're still trying to review video camera footage, so we'll tie that all together and see who was there, the circumstances of that. But as for us to say if he could have been saved if somebody had made a 911 call earlier, I mean that we're not able to comment on that and say that for sure.
Anything else you think people should know?
No, if anybody has tips, feel free to give Crime Stoppers a call. Of course, they're very valuable to us, and if anybody has any information, just make sure to call Homicide.
Again, that is Christopher Butler, Lieutenant Christopher Butler there with the Atlanta Police Department, speaking about the shooting that happened late last night. So far, no suspect information has been released, and this investigation remains ongoing. Like you just heard the officer say there, this suspect in the shooting does not pose a threat to the public, and he believes that this was an isolated incident. So that's something to keep in mind there. Again, going back through the facts of this case, this happened yesterday around 8:04 p.m. Atlanta police officers responding to the report of a person shot there on Moreland Avenue Southeast. When they got to the scene, they found a man with an apparent gunshot wound. He was later pronounced dead there on that scene by medical personnel. And again, we do not have any information on the victim or the suspect here, but hopefully we can receive some information in the coming days on this shooting here out of the Atlanta area. Let's talk about the No Kings protests that happened and swept across the nation and Georgia, opposing President Trump's policies and the Iran war, several other issues, several other concerns, they say. So thousands gathered across the metro Atlanta area alone on Saturday. Yesterday, as part of the nationwide No Kings movement, large crowds reported in Tucker as well and in Sandy Springs. In Tucker, protesters filled a busy stretch there near La Vista Road and Henderson Mill Road. And you're actually taking a look at video here of the protest in Tucker. Crowds estimated in the thousands earlier yesterday. Participants say they were motivated by concerns about federal leadership and policies from the Trump administration. And then in downtown Atlanta, thousands there as well, gathering near the Georgia State Capitol. You'll see that here on your screen shortly. This was before they dispersed. Separate protests happening in Sandy Springs drew about 500 people. Again, organizers saying these demonstrations are part of the broader national movement aimed at amplifying concerns and encouraging civic engagement. One protester emphasized the broader significance here of the demonstration, saying, quote, "We're just doing what Atlanta has always done, and I'm very proud to be a part of it," end quote. Law enforcement maintained a presence along protest routes here in the Atlanta area. No major incidents were reported. I do want to emphasize that these demonstrations were peaceful. No violence reported. So let's take a quick listen to some of the protesters we were able to speak to yesterday.
I am supporting the folks against what we have right now in Washington. Our leader is just incompetent, and I've had enough.
The biggest crowd we had to this point was 15,000. We definitely broke that record. Today we doubled the length of the route, and we had people on every inch of sidewalk on 2.1 miles. So we're guessing we're probably north of 20,000 people, which was a big surprise.
I believe there's a lot of reasons that people need to speak out and make their voice be heard and let this current administration know that we do not go along with what they're doing.
We don't want any kings in our country. We just need a president that listens to the people, for the people, by the people.
At our age, we were doing this in the 60s. So just to continue, it just seems like ridiculous that we're still having to protest.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is Laura Judge, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, a statewide network of grassroots indivisible organizations and community leaders working to defend democracy, protect civil liberties, and build people power across Georgia. Today, people across our state will join communities in all 50 states for a nationwide day of action with one clear message. We don't do kings in this country. Power belongs to the people. Indivisible groups across Georgia have been organizing for years to make sure our communities are informed, engaged, and ready to take action. And through Indivisible National, we are part of a broader movement that connects local organizing to coordinated nationwide action. The No Kings mobilization is one of those moments. It brings together people across the country who are standing up for the same basic idea, that in a democracy, no one is above the law. What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions, and people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments. Today's protest in Atlanta will be a peaceful, community-led action that includes a march and a rally. It is designed to be like our past events, accessible, organized, and rooted in nonviolence. People can expect a strong, visible show of our community, with folks from across the state coming together and share values of freedom, fairness, and accountability. This is not about any one person, it's about a bigger people. We believe in a country where leaders are held accountable, where our rights are protected, and where power stays where it belongs, with the people. And that's why we're showing up today. We invite everyone who believes in those values to join us. Show up, bring your community, be part of something bigger, because this is how we protect our democracy. No kings, not here, not now, not ever. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the ACLU of Georgia, an organization wholeheartedly devoted to protecting your civil rights and civil liberties. Let me be clear from the offset. We do not have kings in this country. We have a Constitution. And today, we are here because the Constitution and all of the rights that's guaranteed under it are under threat. An abuse of power, an erosion of our democratic norms, and direct attacks on the rights of everyday people. That include attacks on the right to vote, efforts to rewrite the truth of the 2020 election, and the policies that undermine the very foundation of our democracy. That should be a concern to every American, regardless of political party. Because this is not about partisanship. This is about power. This is about accountability. We are also seeing the human cost of this administration. Families separated, communities living in fear, journalists being detained, and immigration enforcement that mirrors abuses of people across this country, and that's why we're out here today protesting. Let me say this plainly. We marched to stop the brutalization of communities by police, and we will not accept the same brutality under a different name. From Social Circle to Hall County to seeing detention centers and practices popping up over Georgia that are not wanted or needed. People are not packages, and this country is not a kingdom. At the very same time, we are calling on leaders at every level of government, local, state, and federal, to do your job. Members of Congress must exercise your constitutional authority on other branches. They must protect programs like Medicaid that millions rely on, and they must defend the constitutional balance of power including their own authority. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. And let me be equally clear about why we are here today. People across the country have a fundamental First Amendment right to petition their government. That right is not optional. It is not conditional. It is fundamental. The No Kings movement is about reminding this nation that power belongs to the people, not only the office holders. And in moments like this, when our democracy is not self-executing, we need people to stand up. It requires participation. So we are calling on people to stay engaged, show up, speak out, make sure you vote in every election, and support organizations that are doing the work every single day to protect your civil rights and civil liberties. Because this movement is not theoretical. It's urgent. It's needed. So I will close where I began. We do not have kings in this country. We have laws, we have rights, and we have a constitution. Let's uphold it. Thank you.
All right, guys, there you just listened to Laura Judge with Indivisible Georgia Coalition and Chris Bruce with ACLU of Georgia. They are speaking yesterday ahead of the protests that took place here in the metro Atlanta area. We do know that these protests happened nationwide and also internationally. So let's look at Rome, Italy. The No Kings movement stretched abroad to that area. This is video from yesterday in that area, Rome, Italy. Protesters again criticizing the administration's agenda on several issues, including the war with Iran and immigration enforcement. During this event here in Italy, marchers also rallied against the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu. Banners, as you can see, they displayed Trump, they display the Italian Prime Minister and Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli President. These banners were waved protesting the Israeli and U.S. war with Iran as demonstrators call for a world free from wars. Your time is 9:24. When we return, we'll take a look at your forecast and a fun event. We'll take a break from all this heavy news and take a look at a fun event happening out in Brookhaven when we come back. All right, welcome back, guys, to Fox 5 News Live. Let's go ahead and talk weather. We've been seeing a lot of pollen outside, but the temperatures have been pretty warm here lately, and I'm hoping that it can stay the same. Let's go ahead and bring in our meteorologist here to talk about this forecast. Greg, thanks for joining us. Greg Majeski, that is. Thanks for joining us to talk about weather.
Yeah, well, we've been dealing with the high pollen count. We're hoping for some rain this week that'll help with that. Now, we knew today wasn't going to be as pretty as it was yesterday. We had started with a lot of clear skies this morning, but the clouds have moved in a little bit quicker than we were going with, but we knew we were going to get some clouds later today. So temperature-wise, it will be a comfortable day, but not bad. But the story we're continuing to deal with here is the drought conditions that continue to expand here across the state. This was updated last Thursday. Probably get a little bit worse this upcoming Thursday because it takes a little while for any rain to kind of really have an impact on this. And we're talking about the need of about 20 inches of rain to really kind of put a dent and really kind of get rid of the drought conditions across the area. It's been about 2 weeks since we've seen some meaningful rainfall in our backyards and in our rain gauges, and we're going to hope to add that as we go later in the work week. Now, temperatures out there this morning, comfortable for your Palm Sunday. Most areas here in the 50s. Go ahead and pick out your location. Again, looking pretty good there. And elsewhere here across North Georgia, also looking at 50s as well. 57 in Dalton, 52 in Athens. So with some clouds in here, that persistent easterly wind, we're going to keep the temperatures down a bit today. They're going to stay generally in the 60s for everybody this afternoon as we're seeing things continue to look out. So we're dealing with these fairly cool temperatures here and elsewhere across the southeast as well. Also looking at fairly decent temperatures as well. Here, 60 degrees in Memphis, 52 in Charlotte, 71 in New Orleans. That's not too bad. Looking down there toward the Gulf Coast. All right, now let's talk about what we're going to get with our forecast here. So we got the clouds. We knew that was going to be coming up at us here for today, so we're going to have that around. We'll be continuing with a kind of a partly sunny type of day for going into Monday and Tuesday. I don't think we'll see any real significant rains. I know it's trying to fire up some showers here for tomorrow. I don't see that being a problem, really. I think we might see a spotty shower going into Tuesday. Better rain chance coming in on Wednesday, the way it's tracking right now. And those rain chances go up into next weekend. Now, the exact timing on if we're going to have any rains coming in on Easter Sunday is still a kind of wait and see type thing because we're still 7 days out. But I know the early morning run was showing some rain coming in on that, sunrise services for Easter. We'll see how it looks. Again, it's a timing thing. If it comes in a little quicker, comes a little slower, that could obviously have an impact on any of those church services next week. So as we go ahead and go through what we're going to see here for rainfall. Most of the heavy rains this next 7 days will be back off toward the west. Now, this will be updated a little bit later this afternoon. Currently, right now, across our area here for the next week, we're talking about a little over an inch, maybe some 2 in with some of these areas here in purple. So generally an inch and a half looks like, with maybe some higher localized levels more. Maybe an inch down here toward Atlanta, south of town. Less rainfall amounts. So once again, those poor guys in South Georgia get a little bit left out again. So for our forecast today, we're climbing up into the 60s for this afternoon. Should top around 65, 66 here for the most part, and everybody fairly uniform across the area. Then we're going to warm things up. We're back in the 70s here for tomorrow, and then 80s on Tuesday. Here comes the rain chances coming up as we go through Wednesday through Saturday. So dust off the umbrellas. You're going to need them, and hopefully get some decent rains, not just in localized areas, but a little more widespread. So hopefully we can really kill and knock down that pollen count.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for joining the stream today to talk weather. Loving that forecast when it comes to the 80-degree weather, but that rain is just a killer here. But I do know that we need it because of the pollen.
Yep.
That's right. Well, Greg, thanks for joining us here today. Guys, spring, of course, is in full bloom in Brookhaven as one of the city's biggest events return this weekend, and it is underway right now. So the Cherry Blossom Festival is bringing food, music, and family fun. Fox 5's Caitlin Pratt is out there, and she has a look at what's happening. Caitlin, it's good to see you again.
Hey, Jasmine, yes. And since we're kind of branching off of the weather hit there, I want to say this is one of those days you dress in layers, right? Right now I have my jacket on. It's so windy, but whenever you get that full sunshine on your face. It certainly feels great here in Brookhaven. Let me switch my camera and you can listen in. We're doing a little sound check action right now here at the Cherry Blossom Festival. We have about an hour to go now until the music for real starts. But as you can see, the crowd's starting to fill in here, gather in the front, claim their spots, their blankets out here in the green. This is Blackburn Park in Brookhaven, a popular spot any weekend, but especially this weekend, the last of March. Always a wonderful, fun time here. This is the 11th year that this has been going on here, and each and every year, the music lineup just gets better and better. Headliners tonight, this afternoon, we're talking McDonough and then Natasha Bedingfield as well. Before that, the music again starting at 12:30. But right now, you can arrive, you can check out the Artists Market, which is right on the other side of the stage there. Shop till you drop. There's more than 100 vendors to choose from, all sorts of art, spices, food, seasonings, things of that nature, along with some supplies for your family pet, your child, things like that, different clothes. And I always like to show, when I come to a festival, I always like to show the food options, because let's face it, it's such a treat when you come out, especially this time of year, since it's technically, right, the beginning of festival season. So we kind of get just like a little taste test, a little feel for what we're going to have available this festival season. Is it really a festival without a funnel cake? I don't think so. So yeah, the vendors are gearing up, getting ready for customers as they pour in. This is going to be an all-day event. Yesterday, just gorgeous here as well. The weather was, yes, a little bit warmer. A whole lot of people came out. We caught up with one of the city council members to talk just about the community here in Brookhaven and how fun it is each and every year to get together and celebrate spring.
We love seeing the community come together because we have a diverse community and we're a welcoming community. So no matter your background or your age, you're going to find something fun at the Brookhaven Cherry Blossom Festival.
Something good to taste too as well. A taste of Hawaii, perhaps. How about that? And then, of course, we have your hot dogs, empanadas, shrimp, fries, things of that nature. The crepes look good to me. I'm going to grab myself a little coffee because it is, again, a little bit windy, a little bit cold. But if you are headed out this way, make sure you dress in layers because it's going to be warming up as the day progresses. Grab yourself a little spot on the lawn there and get ready for some good tunes, that's for sure. Everything's starting in about an hour or so as far as the music is concerned. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and get started on your shopping for Mom's Day, Dad's Day, for the graduates who are going to be walking across the stage this spring, there's tons of options for you too. More than 100 vendors waiting for you. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio, Jasmine.
All right, Caitlin, thanks for joining us here to talk about this festival. Looks so much fun. Enjoy your coffee. Guys, I love stuff like this. And then they have some stars attending. So go out there and enjoy the festival. It ends at 6 p.m. today. Your time is 11:35. When we return, we'll have some national headlines. Welcome back. Let's talk about the war with Iran. We haven't talked about it yet this morning, and it's still a top story here. This war intensifying. Iranian forces say they're waiting for the arrival of American troops on the ground to set them on fire and punish their regional partners forever. This is according to the country's parliament speaker. That speaker also saying, quote, "Our firing continues. Our missiles are in place. Our determination and faith have increased." The comments came as regional powers were meeting in Pakistan to discuss how to end the fighting in the Middle East, as about 2,500 U.S. Marines arrived in the region, and Iranian-backed Houthi rebels entered the month-long war. The war has threatened global supplies of oil and natural gas, and it has also sparked fertilizer shortages impacting farmers and disrupted air travel impacting travelers. As you all know, Iran's grip on the strategic Strait of Hormuz has shaken markets and prices. Meanwhile, the Israeli military says it is ready for a multi-front war after Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels entered the conflict with missile attacks on Israel. On Friday, over a dozen U.S. service members were wounded. This happened Friday night when an Iranian missile hit an airbase in Saudi Arabia. And near Jerusalem, injuries and damage from Iranian missiles have also been reported. So again, this war is continuing here. Iran says it's waiting for ground invasion as more U.S. troops move, and then also as more parties get involved with this war, and talking about the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. So President Trump, he gave remarks on this war this past Friday, saying the United States military has been highly successful in Operation Epic Fury. Trump spoke at the Future Investment Initiative Summit in Miami on Friday night. He also praised the U.S. intelligence capabilities, which he says is second to none. Let's take a listen to a little bit of what he said on Friday.
I would never allow the world's #1 state sponsor of terror to obtain a nuclear weapon. I said that for a long time, and I didn't. To defend America and our allies over the past 27 days, the U.S. Armed Forces, most powerful in the world, have been annihilating Iran's military capacity with force, precision, skill like the world has never seen. We're crushing Iran's currently, as we speak. I just looked. We had another big day. We hit them. They don't know what's happening. Remember this. They lied about 3 days ago. I said, yeah, we're negotiating with Israel. We are not negotiating. They're being hit so hard, anybody would be negotiating. They are negotiating. They're begging to make a deal. They're begging to make a deal. Turned out I was right. They were negotiating, which they admitted 2 days later. And in order to make up for their misstatement, they said, we're going to send you 8 ships of oil. And the following day I saw, this is 2 days ago, I saw on one of the networks, very strange. There were 8 ships of oil coming out of Iran. And then they actually said, we're going to add an extra 2. And they added an extra 2, so we had 10 ships. And then people realized we were actually negotiating. And we're negotiating now, and it'd be great if we could do something, but they have to open it up. They have to open up the Strait of Hormuz. We have the greatest intelligence apparatus that anybody's ever seen. We can tell you everything that's going on. We know everything that's going on.
Again, President Trump there giving remarks on Operation Epic Fury, the war with Iran. On Friday in Miami, he also said the U.S. is achieving every one of its milestones here, every one of its military objectives in its conflict with Iran. Staying on the topic of the president, Trump held a White House event on Friday as well, focusing on farmers. We know that this war with Iran has caused some issues for farmers. including the increase in prices for fertilizer. So the White House is reportedly looking to ease some of their burdens here at a time when fuel and fertilizer costs are increasing. Fueling a tractor is not cheap, according to farmers, and again, the price of diesel is going up. Farmers say the last year has been rough with tariffs and the war in Iran making the line of work, or this line of work, even more expensive. But as farmers prepare to plant this spring, President Trump is now promising more support. He says, a quote, "From Minnesota to Mississippi, we're lifting up our hardworking farmers and ranchers and growers, and we're putting more money in American pockets." The president also setting new rules on how much corn will go towards making biofuels like ethanol. He announced cheaper government-backed loans for farmers and pushed major equipment manufacturing companies like John Deere and Caterpillar to lower their prices. The hope is these changes could lower costs for farmers and prices for shoppers at the grocery store. Let's take a quick listen here to what President Trump had to say about farmers.
So Americans love our farmers, and to make it easier for consumers to choose products raised by ranchers like Michael, we recently announced a brand new food label. It's Product of the USA. I love that. Product of the USA. We have another one called Made in the USA. That's better for a car. I like U.S. product for the USA. I hadn't heard that, but it's good. They want the USA product. When Americans see those words in grocery stores, they'll know that it was raised, harvested, and processed by the greatest farmers and ranchers anywhere on the face of the earth. You are the greatest. Nobody even close. Just like we have the greatest military, we have the greatest, most powerful military in the world by far. We have the greatest farmers also. Thanks. And thanks to your hard work and incredible productivity, we're slashing the prices of key staples for American families. This week, I issued an emergency order to allow immediate sales of E15. And just as I promised in the campaign, I'm seeking congressional action to allow E15 all year round, okay? And I'm trusting Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune, they're two good men. I'm trusting them to find a deal that works for farmers, consumers, and refiners, including small and mid-sized refiners. I want John Deere and Case and all of their great companies, Caterpillar. I want all of them. Got a lot of Caterpillars in there all over the place. I look forward to seeing them later. But I want these companies to give it to you in the form of lower tractor and equipment costs. And I think it's going to have a huge impact. And Lee, when you do this, I really want you to mandate to the companies to sell the equipment cheaper, not to get the same price and make a spread of, could be $6,000 or $7,000 a machine. So we'll work on that together.
Again, President Trump speaking there, holding a White House event on Friday focusing on farmers. He's trying to ease the burdens during this time when farmers are experiencing a rise in costs of fuel and fertilizer. Again, he's rolling out a plan to help farmers, and he was just speaking of that plan there in that video. Moving forward, another story that's making headlines here, the Treasury Department planning to put Trump's signature on new paper currency. The Treasury Department says it's because President Trump is, quote, the architect of America's golden age. And of course, Democrats disagree with that statement there. But they're planning to put him on, or put his signature on, all new U.S. paper currency. The agency announced this on Thursday. The move will be a first for a sitting president here, since traditionally U.S. paper currency carries the signatures of the Treasury Secretary and the Treasurer, not the president. It's the latest instance of Trump putting his name and likeness on American cultural institutions. This is following his renaming of the U.S. Institute of Peace the Kennedy Center Performing Arts venue, and a new class of battleships just are some of the other tributes he's given himself. The plans come in tandem with an ongoing effort to get Trump's face on a coin, which has also drawn criticism since federal law prohibits the depiction of a living president on U.S. currency. Now, earlier this month, the Federal Arts Commission approved the final design for a 24-karat gold commemorative coin bearing Trump's image to help celebrate America's 250th birthday on July 4th. The vote by the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, whose members are supporters of the Republican president and were appointed by him earlier this year, was without objection. The Treasury Department says the plan to include Trump's signature on all new paper currency is intended to honor again the nation's 250th birthday, and that the Treasury Secretary's signature would also appear on the currency. So again, another story making headlines here because it is different. The Treasury, this action here would be the first for a sitting president. You typically don't see this happen. Again, usually the Treasury Secretary and the Treasurer, only their signatures are on paper currency for the U.S., not the president here. So I wanted to bring that up. Moving forward here, Maduro and his wife appeared in a New York City courtroom this past week. Let's talk about that really quickly. So a federal judge in New York City has rejected a request to dismiss the drug trafficking charges against former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife. The two appeared in court on Thursday to face drug trafficking charges. An attorney for Maduro argued the U.S. government has been keeping his client from funding his defense. President Trump has accused the former Venezuelan president of being a major purveyor of drugs coming into the U.S. The two, the wife of Maduro and Maduro himself, are being held in a detention center in Brooklyn, New York. Trial date has not been set yet for these two. Again, facing drug trafficking charges, being accused of being a major purveyor of drugs coming here to the United States. And let's talk about the search for Nancy Guthrie and give you some information on the latest in this investigation here from the Pima County Sheriff's Office. So Nancy Guthrie is the mother of NBC's Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, and you can see pictures there of them on your screen. That is her home that you're seeing now. Today marks day 57, guys, in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Again, she's 84 years old, the mother of Savannah Guthrie. Authorities believe Nancy was taken from her home against her will. She was reported missing on February 1st after she didn't go to church that day. Police say a woman's body that was pulled from a Scottsdale canal on Saturday, so yesterday, has no apparent connection to the Nancy Guthrie case, and that is a big update here. We haven't received many updates here in this case, but apparently police out in that area found a body or pulled a body from the Scottsdale Canal, but they're saying that it has no connection to the Nancy Guthrie case. Savannah Guthrie, we do know now, will return to the Today Show, on April 6th. She announced that. NBC has announced that. She recently did an interview with her host, Hoda Kotb, and she said in that interview, quote, "It's hard to imagine doing the show she's speaking of, because it's such a place of joy and lightness, and I can't come back and try to be something that I'm not." She also says, but I cannot not come back because it's my family. I think it's part of my purpose right now. Again, this was said during an interview that aired on the 27th of March with her co-host Hoda Kotb. During her sit-down interview with Kotb, she also described the chaos and disbelief surrounded by her mother's disappearance after her sister called saying that their mother was missing. So back in February, in early February, even in the late night of January 31st, with her sister reporting her missing. Savannah says her family is in agony amid the ongoing search for Nancy. And the Pima County Sheriff's Office is also just warning the public about fundraising scams connected to Nancy's disappearance. So be aware of that. And here's something that you can do. Again, Nancy Guthrie disappeared on the night of January 31st, but was reported missing the next day on February 1st when she did not get to church. And so the sheriff's office has been searching for her. Matter of fact, people across the nation have been searching for Nancy Guthrie, hoping for her safe return. Savannah is offering a $1 million reward for the recovery of her mother. And if you have any information, call the FBI. That number is 1-800-CALL-FBI. Again, 1-800-CALL-FBI. And the Pima County Sheriff's Office has also set up a tip line where community members can submit information. Your time is 11:52. When we return, we'll talk about some lighter news and look at an event that is supporting veterans. All right, guys, welcome back. Engines are revving for this Noonan bike rally happening. Downtown Noonan is getting ready for the roar of these motorcycles. The Throttle Junkies Spring Bike Rally is getting ready to start here, and our Eli Jordan is out there. He's been speaking to some bikers. Eli, talk about this event and how it supports veterans.
Hey, I am out here in Noonan where there's a lot of heavy metal thunder rolling in here, and they've been racing with the wind and the feeling that they're under to Dub Steppenwolf, yeah. And it is the Throttle Junkies Spring Rally here in Noonan. They have probably several hundred motorcyclists already here to benefit veterans and to help out with some service dogs and some veterans, and they're not cheap at all. And I am here with Cody Webb, who is an organizer. Hey, Cody, how you doing? I'm doing all right, not too bad. So tell me, what all's going on out here today?
We're out here raising money for service dogs, you know, for vets by vets. All proceeds goes into said. They're not cheap. We got to get it trained. And then
6 p.m. today, correct?
That's correct.
What do you expect when they come out?
It's going to be real busy, but I encourage everybody to come out. If you got animals that don't, like loud noise, I would suggest, probably. As you see, we got a lot of people, and we're expecting a lot more. We got from 12 to 6, 2 o'clock, we're going to have a sound competition. So we're going to have big bikes coming in with loud stereos.
Loud stereos, not motors.
Loud stereos. We're
Gotcha.
going to shake the ground.
And that seems to be a big thing nowadays. I mean, bikes getting stereos on them now.
Yes, sir. Hey, louder bikes save lives.
And so if somebody doesn't have a bike, they come down here, what can they expect? I mean, you know, you got food and drinks?
We got food, we got drinks. Inside here, we got a RPM. They're full.
We can walk around here.
They're a fully furnished restaurant. You know what I mean? They got drinks, they got food. We got hot dogs. We got kegs. We got a keg trailer over here, you know.
And you got all sorts of beautiful bikes out here, too.
Yes, sir. All the bikes, as you very well looking at them, you know, these people put their personalities in their bikes. You know, you get out, you just ride, you know. You get on a bike, you ride, and it seems like all the stress just goes away. You know, and right now, the way everything is going, you know, a little stress reliever is nice.
So, Cody, tell me, what is the appeal about motorcycles and coming out and checking out all the different bikes?
You know, everybody, like I said, they put their heart and soul in these bikes. You know, come out. We having voting. You know, people are gonna win a trophy at the end of the night. You know, as you very look, you come out, you scan the QR. If you like bike 84, you scan it. Get them a vote. They got over here. We got People's Choice Bagger. We got Custom Stock. So,
got all sorts of good things out here. So I just tell me, this is a good it's free to get in?
Yes, it's free.
And it's good bring your kids, bring your family, bring your wife, bring your husband,
hey, it's family oriented. That's what we like. We're family oriented.
And it's for a good cause.
And it is for a good cause.
Helping veterans out, yeah, to help out with some service animals. But yes, here in Noonan, we are it's about to get underway. You can tell that there's a lot of people have showed up here in Noonan. There's Joe right there. He's got things swinging. He's been busy all morning. And, you know, come on out. It's happening until 6 p.m. today. Throttle Junkies Spring Rally to help benefit veterans and help them get a service dog because they're not cheap. Back to you guys.
All right, Eli, thanks for joining us to talk about this event here supporting veterans. You take some good video of those bikes out there, and we'll check in with you a little later. Guys, it's 11:58. When we return, more news, more headlines, and another check of that event. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live, guys. Streaming here on Fox Local. This is a news conversation, so a little bit different from your traditional broadcast. Feel free to weigh in on anything we talk about here in the comment section of TikTok and YouTube. That's where we're streaming. We're also streaming on Fox Local. Our first story of the day, weather. Let's go ahead and bring in our meteorologist, Greg Majeski. He has a look at your forecast there. And I'm just crossing my fingers for continued warm weather.
Well, we're going to warm up. Today is kind of a coolish day. We had sunshine when we started this morning, but we knew we were going to get some clouds coming at us. Unfortunately, they're not rain producing, which we desperately need. As you can see by the drought condition map here, we got level 3 starting to really expand across northeast Georgia. I expect that to continue to go up with our next update coming up this upcoming week on your Thursday. So the last time we had any decent rains across our area was about 2 weeks ago. That's when things were, that's when we had that weather moving in here. So let me get this going here. Come on, you're going to get moving. Come on. There it goes. All right. So again, we had about 3/4 of an inch of rain back there on Monday the 16th. So it's been about 2 weeks. Probably not going to see anything until we get to about Wednesday. That's the way it's kind of looking right now. So not going to see much in the rain bucket here for the next day or so. So what we're seeing is we got some clouds moving in from the south. So northern areas are seeing a little more sunshine, and the clouds are going to be a little bit of an inhibitor with the warming today. That's going to be part of the equation today. A very weak little system. Model's not doing a very good handle on this last couple of days with that. And temperatures here in the 50s and 60s with a persistent easterly wind. That's also going to be staying with us here through this afternoon. Here's some of those clouds. You see it coming up here through Metro Atlanta. Still plenty of sunshine here on the north side, but see these clouds down here on the south side. These are coming northward, so we're going to be dealing with those clouds here for today. See the clouds back here through Alabama, down on the Gulf Coast. A lot of sunshine back in there, so it's just a little weak little disturbance that's just kind of riding in here, and that easterly wind is also contributing as well. So the models we're picking up on this, you see it by 4 o'clock. It's coming up here to the north, so it's off by a couple hours. Really not that bad, but we're going to be dealing with kind of a partly sunny type day tomorrow morning. We'll have some clouds overnight. Those clouds will keep it from being as cool as it was this morning. We did have some 30s around for this morning and some 40s around, but I don't expect to be quite as cool for tonight. And then tomorrow, it's trying to light up some showers. I'm not buying this. I think we stay on the dry side tomorrow. I think we could see an isolated one on Tuesday perhaps, and then Wednesday the rain chances go up as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and into Easter weekend. Now the question for next weekend, do we get any precipitation for those sunrise services on Sunday? Right now it's leaning that way, but the timing on this could change. May come in quicker, may come in a little bit slower, just kind of depends. So but check back with us all week as we kind of fine tune that forecast going into next Sunday. Now again, we can look at some spotty showers there on Tuesday, and then going here on Wednesday again, just some clouds around. I expect by later in the afternoon we'll get to a little better coverage of scattered showers there as we go into your Wednesday. All right, so here's the forecast outlook here. Next 7 days, boy, we could sure use some of this over us. Again, this is a 7-day total here. Generally looking at an inch, maybe up to 2 in some of these purple areas in here, but inch and a half, somewhere in there. And then around Metro Atlanta, you're looking at close to an inch. Further south you go, unfortunately, the rain amounts go down, so not going to get a lot of help there. But hopefully we'll get some help with the pollen count, which is over 4,000 yesterday. It's been really gaudy. So here we go. We got the clouds coming in this afternoon. We knew that was kind of coming here. And temperatures topping out in the 60s for highs, and that'll be for everybody here across North Georgia. And then we'll warm things up. Tomorrow, we're expecting a little more sunshine back into the mid-70s, and then we're in the low 80s here as we go through the rest of the week. Here come the rain chances coming on Wednesday again. Not everybody's going to get the rain. It's a scattered variety here, and it looks like the rain chances will go about 50-50 going into Friday and Saturday, but above normal temperatures. Normal highs around 70, so looks like above normal temperatures coming right back here across North Georgia.
All right, Greg, thanks for joining the stream to talk about weather. And you know what? Not looking forward to the rain, but I know it's needed, for the pollen, especially for those who have allergies.
And the drought, too. So
yes. Thank you so much, Greg, for joining us. You have a great rest of your day, guys. We're going to go ahead and get into our local headlines. Some of our local headlines, a lot of devastating stories we've been following this morning, including 3 teens shot at a party in Chamblee. This is while they were attending a quinceañera. So let's talk about what officials are saying. 3 teens shot early yesterday near a Shambley event hall. 1 teen is experiencing life-threatening injuries. The suspect is in custody after a brief foot chase, according to police. Officers were doing a traffic stop around 12:45 in the morning yesterday near Buford Highway and Dresden Drive when they heard multiple gunshots coming from the area of 4300 Buford Highway. A sergeant responded to investigate and saw a man running from behind a business and jumping a fence towards the intersection. Police say a lieutenant later located the suspect matching the description and attempted to stop him, but the suspect continued to flee before being taken into custody in a nearby parking lot. Investigators say a firearm was recovered along the path where the suspect ran. Police say, again, the 3 teen victims were attending a quinceañera at an event hall when the shooting happened. 2 suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. The 3rd remains in critical condition. All 3 were taken to a local hospital. The suspect was arrested and taken to the DeKalb County Jail. Authorities have not released the suspect's identity or the identity of the teenage victims. So this investigation ongoing, and our thoughts are with the families involved in the shooting, especially of those teen victims. Let's move forward here to Jackson County, where 1 person is dead after a house fire there. And there you can see it on your screen. It looks very scary here. Crews there extinguishing the fire. 1 person is dead after this house fire in Jackson County. This happened in the Traditions of Braselton neighborhood, according to the sheriff's office there. Authorities say this fire happened at a home in that area, and that's where crews later discovered a body inside. They confirmed that GBI bomb squad responded to the scene and worked to clear the home of any potential explosives. The sheriff's office later told us that the individual who was found dead inside died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and was a military veteran who may have had some explosives in that home. 3 smoke grenades were actually found in a vehicle, but no other explosives were located. The circumstances leading up to this fire and the death here remain under investigation, and we're not choosing to say the name of the victim here just because of the circumstances of their death. Again, police believe that the person died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And I do want to say here, you know, if you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, please reach out to 988. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline to get that support. It provides free and confidential emotional support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to civilians and veterans. So again, 1 person is dead after a house fire here in Jackson County. Police in Atlanta are searching for a woman who sent her father a mysterious text message. There she is on your screen there. The Atlanta Police Department says they're searching for Kiara Emerson, and they're asking for your help with finding her. She was last seen earlier this week. Officers responded to the missing persons report around 1 p.m. yesterday at an address on Terminus Place Northeast. Family members reported that they had not seen or heard from 37-year-old Kiara Emerson since March 26. Police also say her father told them that he last spoke with her by phone that day, and she indicated that she was, quote, leaving forever. Police said officers conducted a welfare check at her apartment, did not find her there, and investigators believe she may be traveling in her vehicle. Authorities also say she suffers from depression and may be armed. She's described as being 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighs 140 pounds. She was driving a white 2026 Honda. The tag for her car is RHN 8992. Again, RHN 8992. If you have any information about Miss Emerson here, please make sure you call police. Call the Atlanta Police Department Homicide Unit. The investigation here remains ongoing. Let's talk about another story here. 1 person is dead after a shooting yesterday, late last night actually, on Moreland Avenue at the gas station you see on your screen. Officers here are investigating this instance, this deadly shooting in southeast Atlanta. They were called to Moreland Avenue southeast for reports of a person shot last night, and when they got to the scene, they found a man suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. This victim was later pronounced dead on scene by medical personnel. Police took some questions from reporters outside this event after the shooting. Let's take a listen to what was said.
This evening at approximately 8 p.m., officers were dispatched to a person shot at this location, 1401 Moreland Avenue. Upon arrival, they located a black male inside the business, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Despite life-saving efforts, he was pronounced deceased on scene. He was a 37-year-old black male. So right now we've got homicide detectives on scene, trying to gather any kind of evidence we can and speak to any witnesses that might have been here during the incident.
Did you all think he was shot inside or came here? Or?
It appears that he was already here inside the business, and he was shot inside, yes.
Any word on a suspect?
Still preliminary. We've got some information that we're working with, and we're working with our internal partners to disseminate that and trying to get some more details on what we're looking for.
Should people who live around here, walk around here, be worried, or is this an isolated thing?
So far, from what we've been able to tell, it appears it's an isolated incident. So no threat to the community that we believe. It looks like it was an isolated incident.
So I spoke to a lady earlier who she says she was the one who called 911 and had found the gentleman back there. She was saying if he'd been found sooner, there was a chance that he might have made it. Can you speak to that at all?
I'm not a medical professional, but I don't think anybody can really say that. He does have multiple gunshot wounds to his torso, so we'd have to go back and run when the 911 call was, but there's no way to know that for 100%.
But if he was potentially shot in the premises, was there an employee that was working who may have heard the shots fired inside the building?
We're still trying to review video camera footage, so we'll tie that all together and see who was there, the circumstances of that. But as for us to say if he could have been saved if somebody had made a 911 call earlier, I mean, we're not able to comment on that and say that for sure.
Anything else you think people should know?
No, if anybody has tips, feel free to give Crime Stoppers a call. Of course, they're very valuable to us. And if anybody has any information, just make sure to call Homicide.
Again, that was Lieutenant Christopher Butler with the Atlanta Police Department speaking there about this incident, the shooting on Moreland Avenue in Atlanta. Now, like he said, there's no threat to the public. He believes this was an isolated incident. So far, no information has been released on the suspect or the victim here. But again, we know that an adult man has died as a result of this shooting here that happened at around 8:04 p.m. yesterday. Your time is 12:13. When we return, we'll take a look back at the No Kings protests that happened across Metro Atlanta yesterday. Welcome back. Large, peaceful crowds reported at the No Kings rallies across metro Atlanta. We know they swept across Georgia in opposition to Trump's policies, the Iran war, and other concerns that they have. So thousands of demonstrators gathered across the metro Atlanta area yesterday as part of this nationwide movement. No Kings protests. Large crowds reported, and not only in downtown Atlanta, but in Tucker and in Sandy Springs. And Tucker, protesters filled a busy street near La Vista Road and Henderson Mill Road, with crowds estimated in the thousands there. Participants say they were motivated by concerns about federal leadership policies. And one protester saying, I just wanted to be here and show solidarity with other people who are very concerned about what's happening with this administration. In downtown Atlanta, thousands gathered near the Georgia State Capitol earlier yesterday before dispersing. And then in Sandy Springs, that separate protest drew roughly 500 people. But again, organizers across the board saying the demonstrations are part of a broader national movement aimed at amplifying their concerns and encouraging civic engagement. These protests, again, were peaceful. One protester emphasized the broader significance of these demonstrations, saying, quote, "We're just doing what Atlanta has always done, and I'm very proud to be part of it." Law enforcement maintained a presence along the protest routes across the Atlanta area. No major incidents were reported. Let's take a listen to some of the protesters we were able to speak with.
I'm supporting the folks against what we have right now in Washington. Our leader is just incompetent, and I've had enough.
The biggest crowd we had to this point was 15,000. We definitely broke that record. Today we doubled the length of the route, and we had people on every inch of sidewalk on 2.1 miles. So we're guessing we're probably north of 20,000 people, which was a big surprise.
I believe there's a lot of reasons that people need to speak out and make their voice be heard and let this current administration know that we do not go along with what they're doing.
We don't want any kings in our country. We just need a president that listens to the people, for the people, by the people.
At our age, we were doing this in the 60s. So just to continue, it just seems like ridiculous that we're still having to protest.
Again, you just listened to protesters in Tucker, Georgia, and in downtown Atlanta near the state capitol from yesterday. Now, we like to be fair here and to share both sides of a story. So the Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCooney spoke out, pushing back against the No Kings demonstrations, saying in part, quote, "President Trump was elected by the American people to serve our leader under the Constitution." He argued that the real threat to our republic comes from unelected officials influencing policy. And he released a long statement yesterday. I'm not going to read the full statement, but just some of what he said. He said, quote, "The so-called No Kings protests against President Donald Trump are an outrageous display of hypocrisy and political theater. President Trump was elected by the American people not once but twice to serve as our leader under the Constitution. These demonstrations rail against an imaginary monarch while the voters' clear mandate is carried out by the very man they elected. It is absurd," he says, "to treat a twice-elected president as some sort of king when he must face the American people at the ballot box every 4 years." He goes on to say the real threat to our republic, the closest thing America has to kings, are the unelected federal judges who routinely substitute their own policy preferences for the will of the people and their elected representatives. With lifetime appointments and zero accountability, these activist jurists override Congress, the president, and state legislatures on a regular basis with no consequences whatsoever. They do not answer to voters. They do not face re-election. They simply impose their ideology from the bench and dare anyone to stop them. He goes on to say Georgia Republicans reject this judicial tyranny. We stand for a constitutional republic where power flows from the people to their elected officials, not from unaccountable judges who act as kings. Again, that statement there from Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon speaking against the No Kings protests. We know that ahead of the protests yesterday in the Atlanta area, two civil rights groups spoke out. It is a very long presser. We won't take too long to listen to it, but we'll take a listen to a little bit of what leaders with the Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU of Georgia had to say ahead of the protests.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is Laura Judge, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, a statewide network of grassroots indivisible organizations and community leaders working to defend democracy, protect civil liberties, and build people power across Georgia. Today, people across our state will join communities in all 50 states for a nationwide day of action with one clear message. We don't do kings in this country. Power belongs to the people. Indivisible groups across Georgia have been organizing for years to make sure our communities are informed, engaged, and ready to take action. And
again, that is Indivisible Georgia Coalition. That's Laura Judge speaking there, and behind her is Chris Bruce with ACLU of Georgia. I just wanted to play a little bit of that here. They spoke ahead of the protests happening yesterday. We also know that protests reached abroad. They happened internationally in Rome, Italy, for instance. No Kings movement and the U.S. stretched there. And people there also protesting against the Trump administration as well. They also marched against the Italian Prime Minister and Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu. They are marching against the war with Iran and immigration enforcement. Banners were waved protesting the Israeli and U.S. war with Iran as demonstrators called for a world free from wars. Your time is 12:23. When we return, we'll take a break from this hard news and we'll look at an event that's made specifically for veterans. Welcome back. Throttle Junkies Bike Rally for Veterans is underway in Noonan. Engines are revving, and our Eli Jordan is there. He has been there all morning to talk about this initiative for veterans and also all the fun that the motorcyclists are about to have.
Oh yeah, hey, good afternoon, Jasmine. This is a bike rally, the spring bike rally for the Throttle Junkies here in Noonan. It has just now gotten underway, and it is a huge turnout. Let me turn the camera around here. And so yeah, you can see it's got crowded here with a bunch of parked motorcycles, motorbikes. This is to benefit veterans to buy service dogs for veterans who need some help at home and all that, because service dogs are very valuable. You know, they can warn you against seizures, or just help you out around the house, or even if you're low on blood sugar. It just depends on how they're trained, but that's expensive to get them trained. And so they're out here raising money. Their goal is to raise about $10,000 for a couple of service dogs, but I got a feeling they're going to get more than that, because this is a huge turnout here in Newnan for the Throttle Junkies Biker Rally here until 6 p.m. today, from noon until 6 p.m. today. And then you can get food, you can get drinks, they got music, and of course you can check out the beautiful two-wheeled vehicles, motorbikes, choppers, bar hoppers, and you know, all sorts of, you know, bobbers. Here, cafe, and but it's a really nice, impressive showing of motorbikes out here at the Throttle Junkies Spring Rally. This is a nice bike right here. I like the passenger car here. That's a beautiful bike. Lots of beautiful bikes out here in Newnan. And if you're into bikes, come on out here. It's free to get in, and you can also listen to some music. You can hear it playing in the background. Grab you a couple beers, have some food, and check out really cool bikes. And it's all for a good cause to help out veterans, get them some service dogs. And they're gonna have like a sound competition. See which bike has the best stereo today. And so that'll be interesting to see. But that's what's going on here in Newnan, and it's a really good turnout. As you can see, just tons of people here and lots of beautiful bikes. And just come on out here to Newnan for the Throttle Junkies Rally, and it's going on until 6 p.m. today. You come out and enjoy it. It's a good scene. Jasmine?
All right, Eli, thanks for showing us this event this afternoon here. Throttle Junkies Bike Rally, guys, for veterans, happening until 6 p.m. today. And so looks like a very fun event, and it's all for a good cause out there in Newnan. Hundreds of motorcyclists expected for this event. Your time right now is 12:28. Thanks for joining us here on Fox Local, Fox 5 News Live. Have a great rest of your day. Our news will continue this afternoon.